underscore. Wow.
Wow.
All that great conversation, and you just
They just missed
had it all muted. Amateur hour.
I'm not introducing myself again. We're beyond that now.
That's a my bad. I had everything muted. I'm so sorry, guys. So I'm with Marcus today, and you can find him at MarcusWin89 on YouTube and Marcus_Win on Kick and Twitch if he streams over there, but he primarily does YouTube. And then you can find Canop __ at Twitch. And he's been having some internet issues, but he'll be back. He'll be back. We all know he'll be back. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump straight into this guns blazing. The big deal, obviously, over the last few weeks. Skeet, what's up? The big deal over the last few weeks has been Starfield. Starfield versus Star Citizen. Star Citizen versus Starfield. It's like two heavyweight contenders going at it, and some people are happy about it, some people are not. I was wondering what you guys have to think about Starfield versus Star Citizen. I know, Canop, you've been mostly watching from the sidelines, so first we'll go with Marcus, and then Canop, I'd like to hear from you after that.
Well, I think Starfield's a great game. People are just giving it, a good review of 7 out of 10, which I think is fair. It's not a Star Citizen replacement. Is it a gateway game? Maybe. It's very simple to play, and I've been streaming it. And maybe it's not the best game to stream. Maybe it's a better game just to do like regular uploads with. But it's an easy game to get into. It's easy to play. I did have issues with the trees; they look like shit. Been very critical about that. Very critical about how the hair looks, but the game plays well and it functions how a game should function. Is there little bugs and quirks here and there? Yes, but there are no bugs like the bugs that exist in Star Citizen. Let me tell you, man. And I've been enjoying it. And I don't understand the backlash that's coming from it, especially from the Star Citizen community, especially when they've actually put out a completed game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we actually have a real game to play. So I like it. I like both games. And we were just talking about this, off stream, but I don't think that people should try to get into the idea of trying to polarize people into two camps, because it limits how you can enjoy two different IPs. And I find Starfield to be very, very enjoyable from my take, and I look forward to finishing the game on stream or doing uploads. I want to get into some of the modding for Starfield, not doing mods myself, but playing with the mods on. I just want some more mods to come out because they're all kind of the same. But I'm finding Starfield to be very, very enjoyable.
You brought up the trees and the hair. I think that's been one of my biggest complaints about the game. Other than that, as you said, it's a pretty good game, and it works. You don't have to worry about, I'm stuck in my seat, I got to push R, T, Y, Control, Alt, Y, P to get out.
In space.
Right.
Yeah. And
it's like there's shit to do. You know what I mean? Like, Star Citizen, as good as the quote unquote sandbox is, there ain't shit to do. Like, you can complete most game loops in Star Citizen within a week. Because, like, once you've done a bunker, you've kind of done them all. Once you've done an outpost, you've kind of done them all. Like, once you've done salvage, you've kind of done it all. It doesn't provide a great story. And I was just thinking about this today. I just like, if Star Citizen had kind of some of the same storylines of like conflict in Star Citizen, to where you can progress as your own player or you can do things as a group, that would be fantastic. But it essentially doesn't have that. And sometimes I find myself bored because it's like, I don't want to go to a bunker because I might get shot through a wall, or the elevators might not work, or I might fall through the fucking map. You know what I'm saying? So there's like all these kinds of things you have to worry about when playing Star Citizen that you don't have to worry about when playing Starfield. Is the experience a little bit more limited? Yes. And I'm sick at this point. This is the one comparison point that drives me crazy to no end. And they said that you can't traverse the entire planet on Starfield. Who the fuck in Star Citizen is going around on a regular basis, flying and traversing the entire planet? You know what I'm saying? Nobody's fucking doing that. You know what I mean? So like, Star Citizen Sims, can we cut it out, please? You're not going around. You're not navigating all over Microtech and exploring every nook and cranny of Microtech. You're not doing that. Can we please stop the cap? Nobody's doing that. Stop
Right.
it.
Well, you do have your low flyers that'll go around and fly on planets.
Yeah, but they're not flying.
They're not
across
flying
the entire planet.
Yeah, they're not going to fly from pole to pole. I'm sure there's somebody out there that will, but I mean, I don't have
it's
that.
not like a regular
I don't have
thing, though.
I don't have like the day to commit to that, but yeah, I mean, because also too, there's just like there's nothing in between. Just like in Starfield, there's nothing in between. The bunkers. From one bunker to the other, there's nothing but rocks and flat land.
Right.
And they harsh on Starfield for the same thing. It's like, oh, you land and there might be 2 or 3 procedurally generated points, but other than that, it's just flat emptiness. Which is
exactly
Star Citizen. Yeah,
it's Star Citizen. I mean,
yeah, like they hate on it because they're like, oh, it's procedurally generated land, but it's like Star Citizen was handmade. All those planets, every feature was handmade by somebody, and it still looks exactly the same. Some rocks and flat space, the same shit.
I was going to say, one of the big differences though is, even though it may be barren, there's a lot of planets that there might not be human people on there or human beings on there. There's tons of fauna and flora, something that a lot of the planets and moons in Star Citizen are missing.
Yeah, and there's also alien creatures that you can kill and get resources from. So it's not like if you wanted to play Starfield in a certain kind of way, you can actually cheese it to where you can essentially go to like one of the higher level moons or planets and change the difficulty to like the highest one. And as soon as you land there, you put the difficulty back down, and you can essentially cheese the game and level up that way. Is that kind of a cheesy way of playing? Yes, but it gives you something to actually grind for, because you need those skill points to make your character better. You know what I'm saying? And in Star Citizen, the only thing that you're doing is grinding to make money to purchase ships. And then once you get the ships, most of them don't even have a functioning role in the game. You know what I mean? Unless you're going to get a crew together and go do stuff. But most of the time, you find yourself trying to make your own gameplay loops in Star Citizen, where you don't have to do that in Starfield. You know what I'm saying? Most of it is like laid out for you, and it still has like the sandbox thing to where you don't have to follow the main story at all if you don't want to. You can play Starfield completely. I know I was watching Dead Sea, and for like a week he hadn't even started the main story yet. He's doing like all the side quests and shit. So there's plenty of stuff to actually do in Starfield that you don't have in Star Citizen. Like I did the Aquila quest. I think Canop was watching me do that, and I found completing the end of that quest was much more enjoyable than anything that I would complete in Star Citizen. So, and I'm not trying to hate on Star Citizen and make it look bad. I just think these are areas where the game can grow.
They need the RPG element of their MMO RPG.
Yeah.
Canop, how's it been for you? Because you haven't played it yet, have you? You've just been watching.
No, because my computer with the processor, a lot of the newer stuff I can't play anymore. Okay. But I'll be the negative Nancy and say that I am, very disappointed with Starfield. Starfield is that very. You could see Starfield as a Bethesda game. It is the very classic Bethesda experience. It's the same engine. It's all the same assets. You can look at anything in Starfield except for the vehicles and like jetpacks. You can see almost every element of Starfield in other Bethesda games. Their AI acts exactly like all their AI does in all of their games, right? And they even have all the same bugs, right? Because like I was watching Pagan last night, he was playing, and the shopkeep's inventory is stored in the ground outside, so you can like walk up and loot it like a container and loot shops. And that's the same bugs they had in Skyrim, the same bugs they had in Fallout. It's just it's the same game over and over and over. It's just reskinned, and they added a few extra things, which really disappoints me because Microsoft bought Bethesda, right?
Mm-hmm.
They bought them out because Microsoft has an exclusivity nightmare going on. They're not really getting any exclusive titles, so they bought them out and was like, okay, we'll get Starfield, rush it out. But Microsoft has so many wonderful assets and stuff they could have brought to the table to expand Starfield to be that next great game that wasn't just Bethesda using the exact same stuff they've used for every single game since they went to the 3D model. Ever since they switched from the 2D top down to their 3D engine, it's been the same stuff over and over and over and over. And it's real tiring, It's real tiring to see the exact same game just pump out. And then, they don't even bother to fix the stuff they know is wrong with it. They put zero effort into bug fixing. Because you can see the exact same bugs from previous titles in this title.
It's true.
And it's sad. It's so sad that this is what they gave us, and then the overhype and the lies. It's real disappointing to see.
So,
now, don't get me wrong. Starfield is a good game in its own right, and if you like Bethesda games, you will definitely like this game. If you like Skyrim, if you like Fallout, you're going to love Starfield. You're going to be very familiar with everything in this game.
So I wanted to say two things about that. The first thing is, I think a lot of the issues with Starfield come down to the Xbox. And we've talked ad nauseum about how the Xbox hardware just isn't good. Like, I don't know what Microsoft was thinking about making a console that has hardware like that. But Starfield was designed to be a console game first. It was kind of ported over to the PC. And they did optimize for PC, but they didn't optimize it very well. And you can tell that it's a console port.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So my thing is, like, if you're trying to make the next and best game, you're kind of limited in what you can create because of the hardware of the Xbox. If this game was going to be a PlayStation game, I think maybe we would have seen some different stuff. But maybe they can't go with a better engine because the better engine is going to require better hardware from whatever you're playing it on. If Starfield was going to be a PC only title, I think that potentially we could have seen better stuff. But at the same time, I do understand your point about their game engine not being updated in however long.
Yeah.
It's been like,
I think
10
their
years?
next title they're going to put out, the Skyrim or whatever, is going to have to be on an updated or a different engine altogether, because I do agree with you. Some of the assets just look terrible. And I do think a part of that is because of the Xbox's hardware. And me, I'm not like a hardcore Bethesda guy. I'm kind of like, I don't play every Bethesda title. I played Skyrim and I played this game. Those are the only two Bethesda titles that I've played. That's it. So I don't get so caught up in all that stuff because I'm more of a casual Bethesda guy. I'm not really into it. Canop, me. We've known each other for a long time. You know what kind of games that I play. And you know that I'm not really into like the RPG style games. So for me, this is good. For somebody else who has been with Bethesda and has followed this style of game for a long time, I could definitely understand why you guys are upset, and the gripes that you have for this game are 100% valid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the expand on the console hardware limitations. Yeah, it's very limiting because a lot of people don't know that games on consoles run 24 or 30 frames average, and then they do some trickery to make it smooth out to make it seem like it's 60 frames. And so you're trying to port a game that runs 30 to 24 frames. Yeah, there's some outliers that run 11 frames and some outliers on the other side that do run 60 frames on console. but it's usually that 24 to 30 frames for a console game, and then you're trying to port that to a computer that 60 frames is considered marginal at best nowadays.
A lot of people are running 100 plus.
Yeah, 120 frames now is the average, where 60 used to be, you running 60 frames, damn, you're doing good.
Right.
And it's just, it'll never work. It'll always have that very awful jank when you're trying to push a game to run at a higher frame than what it was supposed to.
Yeah.
And
go ahead, finish your thought.
I was gonna say, and we're always gonna have that kind of jank, and I would just wish they wouldn't prioritize these dying consoles, because consoles are dying.
They are.
The way I see it, it's probably going to be handheld in the near future. Like the Steam Deck is becoming real popular. The Nintendo Switch is wildly popular.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing so many mods come out for Steam Decks to basically have it be a standalone computer in your hand. And that's the future right there. That's where everyone's going to go to.
Yep, everybody's going to go mobile. Everybody play just because so many people are on the move, and that's what they like. I mean, I'm not a fan of laptop gaming, or the Switch is fine. I don't mind playing it on the couch. There's a couple of games that the daughters have that I play with them and stuff like that, but I'm more of a PC guy. One of the things that I was going to bring up is Todd Howard and company better really think through before they release a Fallout 5 or Skyrim 2 or Elder Scrolls. What are they on? This would be 7, 6, 7, something like that. If they're going to run it on Creative Engine 2 again, look, most of their community is based around the Elder Scrolls. They're going to be so upset if they get another Creative Engine based game again. It'll be what they did: Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Starfield, Elder Scrolls Online as well, right? That's
Yep. But you know what? The problem is, I don't see it changing, because if you go look at the sales for Starfield is banging.
Yeah.
All right. And they're not going to. It's a corporation, right? So the model of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're not going to reinvent the wheel here, right? So they had another great title release with Starfield. The next one's going to be on the same engine, which is already being made, right? Let's be real. Whatever next Bethesda game is coming out is also, was already still being made before Starfield came out.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So whatever it is already in the works, and I can about guarantee you it's the same goddamn engine, because they would be making big news about a new engine update or whatever. They're not going to just surprise you with a new game on a new engine, right? Because it's all about the big hype. The big hype. We got to hype everything up nowadays. So if you don't hear about it, it ain't happening. Because we have to build that hype.
That's a really good segue. Do you think Starfield was hyped too much?
Oh yeah, every game is.
I think it came out too early. I think that it needed more time in development for sure. I would have liked if because I didn't really follow like the early development of Starfield. I only really started following it, the past year or so. But if I would have known that, it was going to be on the same engine, that I would have lowered my expectations a little bit more. I wouldn't have looked for a game that was like graphically, that had the high graphic fidelity, that was smooth and a bunch of new assets. If I knew that it was going to be on that same engine, I would have been like, well, this is going to be still going to be a good game, but it's not going to look great. You know what I mean? Especially on PC. It may look better on console. I think consoles, like Canop said, has a little trickery where it can like make things look a little bit better, but with a PC, there's just no hiding your flaws. You know what I mean? And this is also another good segue. And, we're talking about hardware, it's kind of the same thing. I look at their game engine as kind of like the same issue that Star Citizen has with their servers. It's just like, are you ever going to get these fucking servers together? You know what I mean? because it's like the main thing holding this game back is the servers. It's like, and you know, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Like, what the hell are they? What servers are they using? Like, what the hell is going on with that? And you know, and I was thinking about this too before the stream. It's like I should have gone to CitizenCon and like asked them like, what fucking servers are you using? Because they are absolute dog shit.
It's wild because they're getting, you know, 2-3 frames a second. It's like, do you have like every NPC have their own monitor and like everything gets drawn on a like with a graphics card somewhere? Because like, how do you have such low frames on the server side? Because you don't have to display anything, you know, like you do on the user side with all the graphics and everything. So it's like, why are you like, are you loading a bunch of extra information you don't need to be loading? It's like somebody somewhere is like looking at a problem and going, it's all right, we can keep going down the road like this.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Wild.
There was like a couple of months ago, me and Canop had talked about it. This was like around, actually it was like early, it wasn't a couple of months ago, it was early this year when 318 came out. It was like that dumpster fire. And we actually found a company that does server meshing out of the box. I forget the name of the company, but because like I don't know that much about, you know, like servers and server meshing, but Canop is very technically, you know, he's good with this kind of stuff, and I lean on him a lot. Even though I did IT work in the military, like I was a help desk guy. I was like, turn your computer off and back on, guy. That's what I did, right? So, and when it comes to the network side, I wasn't really on networks. I was really more just computers. But I showed him this stuff, and I was just like, hey, look, this looks like server meshing, because like what it was, they had different servers that could load different things, and it could transfer data back and forth, and it had some ridiculous high transfer rate. I don't remember how high it was, but I was like, if theoretically, Canop, if I wanted to run a game on these servers, could I do it? And he's like, dude, if you run a game on these servers, you probably have one of the best servers in the world. Like, you would have like no lag, you would have no positional desync, like everything would just work. I'm just like, huh. So I'm like, what the fuck is CIG doing? And I know there's like a lot of speculation about the Amazon stuff, and they could be locked into a contract with them and like all this other bullshit. But I was just like, even if they are, they have to know that this is bad for business. They have to know that.
Well, you know, what's even wild is, because I read into it, they could still use that, because what it does, it's like a cloud-based server, and what it does is it augments what you're running already. So let's say your server is running at, you know, max capacity for RAM. And there's somebody else, you know, somewhere else in the world whose server is underutilized with RAM. Well, it'll just connect y'all's two servers together and offload a lot of that computation to their random access memory to get the load off of you. And it's just, they could do that with their Amazon servers. So where those servers start to bog down, they'll start renting it out from somewhere else in the world that has an abundance of space. Because, you know, in the server world, you know, it's surprising to think, because, you know, everyone's talking about, the millions and millions of data, like, you know, like YouTube, what is it, like trillions of seconds get uploaded every second. You think, oh, that's a lot of fucking data, but you go into the server world, a lot of the servers in the world are underutilized. You know, you're talking a lot of servers are 98% underutilized. And that's where a company like that comes in and shines, right? Because where CIG is overbogged at 2 frames a fucking second, they can rent out somebody who's underutilized and boost their own performance instantly. And then when the server load goes down, boom, you drop off those servers, those extra servers you're using.
That's true.
Yeah, I think it's a 2. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know much about development, especially net coding and servers and all of that stuff. But I think it could be a 2-part problem with CIG. I think it's, one, we've all speculated about the lawsuits and Amazon and all of that stuff, and that they're using Amazon servers. And then 2, I think the net coding is probably not in the best spot either.
No, it's not.
And I think PES really exposed that, because I can go back and pull up streams where I put in the what is that code, the display info, and I used to be getting 65, 70, 80 frames in 317. now we have 318 and you're lucky to get 20, 25. So I think that was I think PES really exposed their servers badly.
And also, another part of it is they keep adding all of these new, which they should do. Which I'm not saying that this is wrong, but and I noticed in the PTU, like each PTU patch, they'll add like more graphical things to the game. Like they'll make the game visually look better. I'm like, all this stuff is good, but some of the stuff is just like unneeded. Like if I was making a game today, I would have no film grain. Like why the fuck do I need film grain in the game Like this is gonna kill the performance. And it never looks good. Like I'm not trying to watch a movie. I'm trying to play a fucking game,
Right.
you know. And some of the things I just think, you know, that they do are like unnecessary. You know, I like some of the visual effects. They look good, but when I'm playing a game and the visual effects are causing my frames to drop, then that's an issue.
Yeah, I think Star Citizen has two issues going on that they don't talk about. One's with their network, and I think a lot of that comes from all the failed attempts to server mesh, which is why we see a lot of the desyncing issues that we see in Star Citizen. Because I mean, you can't play Star Citizen without some kind of desync issue.
Yep.
And I think that's coming from a lot of these failed meshing attempts fucking with the network. And then they also have somewhere in the game where something or a lot of somethings are getting called a lot that shouldn't be called. It's probably like some ship fucking part or some other thing in the game that's supposed to be working that isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And the game's just constantly every millisecond trying to call for it over and over and over and over and over, and it bogs down the server. So it's you got two things. You got the server not communicating properly because a lot of the failed networking shit they've done, that's just bleeding out to fucking nothingness. Because all those fucking calls and everything it's trying to do is going to take a server load. And if you get a bunch of them while somebody's moving around, it's going to start dropping packets, and you start dropping player positioning packets. Now you got fucking invisible people. You got somebody who's in your party. They're like, I'm on your ship. They're like, oh, I still see you in the station. And then all of a sudden, you know, they warp behind you because the game, you know, is dropping fucking packets over the network. And it's just shit like that I don't know if it scares me. It's because like, if you haven't fixed this kind of stuff now, do you not have the ability to fix said things? Is this like what I was saying before with Elon, where the code is just so fucked up that now you can't change anything? Did they write themselves into a fucking code corner, and now they can't go anywhere?
I would hope not.
That could be,
but you could be right. I mean, anything is possible with CIG. We've discovered that.
Because if you're not experienced and you're writing a bunch of code, if you don't block your codes, which is basically like, you know, I have a set of sections that run in this chain and another set of sections that run over here. So that way, if there's a problem, I don't have to rewrite everything. I could just go to the cell that has a problem and rewrite that section. But if you don't do any of that and it's all one big massive section of code, if there's a problem in there, you got to rewrite everything to get it to work again.
I mean, I can't just
that could be their issue. That's very.
And if they're in that kind of situation where it's like, well, the only way to fix it is to completely rewrite the game, they're not going to do that. They're fucked. We're fucked. The game will never come out. They'll just be like, well, just slap a sticker on this and call it good.
I think if that happens, we'll probably just only get Squadron 42. I don't think Star Citizen will ever become what it was originally intended to become. And I'm not one of the original backers. I started playing the game like I think last year, and I understand a lot of the frustrations that the original backers have because we didn't sign up for Squadron 42. Like, I think Squadron 42 is a game that's 10 years too late.
Yeah,
I really do. Nobody wants to play a linear-based story game. People want choice. People want options. And will there be choice and options in the game? Who knows? But people want to be able to not play the main story. People want to go off and do their own thing. They want their own side quests. And I just don't think Squadron 42 is going to do that. You know, I don't think Squadron 42 is ever going to be that. And, you know, I know that Chris Roberts wants to make his own version of Star Wars. And I just think that it's going to fail, mostly because I don't ever see this game going to console because there's just too many fucking buttons. Like, I have right here, I have an Xbox controller right here, and you wouldn't believe how many modifiers that you need to play this game on controller. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like half of your stick's a modifier. And just knowing like how many buttons you have on your keyboard and how they're always changing button mappings and stuff like that, this game would be a nightmare for any console to run.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even if they were just going to do Squadron 42 on the console, but hey, we're just going to put that on the console, it'd still be a nightmare because of the buttons.
Yeah.
You need like, you know what I'm saying? And like there's no support for flight sticks on the console. So your best way to control the ship is flight sticks and pedals, and you can't essentially do that on the console like you can on the PC anyway.
No.
So it's the people that are hoping this game would become popular and become what Chris Roberts hopes it to be. It's just not going to. You know what I'm saying? No casual player, first of all, is going to get a PC to play this game because they're going to look at it and be like, well, who is Chris Roberts? We don't know anything about this game. We don't know anything about this game. We don't know anything about Chris Roberts. And they're going to start researching him, and they're going to start looking at his past projects. They're going to be like, it took them over a decade to make this, and it doesn't look better than most of the games that are out right now in the first place. People are going to pass on it. You know what I'm saying? Unless they do something crazy and wild, and it's just over the top spectacular. But I don't see that. Even with the actors that they brought in, you know, people don't play games because of an actor that's in the game. People don't give a shit. People want to play a game that's actually fucking good.
Exactly.
Some of the best games have no name actors in them.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know who the people are voicing the characters. You know what I'm saying? Some of the best games are like this. And I think that, you know, this, like Squadron 42, is going to be more like a movie than it is a game.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, I've never in my life said, "Oh, I got to get this game because my favorite actor has a voice line in it." You know, I've never looked to see who's an actor in my game. You know, I've never ever in my life have I ever gone back to look at something. The only time I've looked up an actor in a game is because somebody told me there was an actor in the game. I was like, "What? Really? They're in this game?" And I look it up. You know, other than that, I don't give a fuck.
It's the same for me. Like I think I was 4 years removed from Call of Duty World at War before somebody was like, "Yeah, did you know Gary Oldman was the voice of the Russian guy in that game?" I'm like, "No, he wasn't." And then I looked it up. I'm like, "Oh, well, look at that. Gary Oldman's the voice of the Russian guy." So you know, no, you're right. Nobody goes and buys a game for the actor. You know, and so, and I'd also like to add on, if any of you guys have not played Wing Commander 1 through 4, it's pretty much, it's a movie. It's a game that is a movie. It's a game that is a movie, and then in between the movie parts is when you play the missions. You know, you go fly this mission, kill this thing, or investigate this thing, and then the mission ends, and you go to the briefing room again, and you know, like let's take Wing Commander 3 for example. That's where you go in and you talk to Mark Hamill and whatever other actor they got there, and you know, there's some emotional thing, and then you do the next mission. It's go to this star system and destroy this fleet of ships, and you do that, and it's the same thing. It just keeps on going until you get to the end of the story. Do you guys think, and this questions for both of you, whoever wants to take it first, do you think Squadron 42 will achieve mainstream success or popularity outside of the Star Citizen community?
No, I don't.
Same here. I don't think so.
I don't think it will, and it's for the reason that I said earlier. It's like nobody knows, and it's like it's one of the downsides of not having a AAA company. It's one of the major downsides. Like nobody fucking knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think for them to do that, they're going to have to get into GameCon, like one of these gaming conventions, E3, whatever, and kind of showcase what they're doing. Having their own citizen con is good for your community, but if you're not at Gamescom and you're not at these other events, you're not showcasing like what you have,
or like
you're
E3.
doing yourself a disservice. Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like no one's gonna know besides your community. And at this point, word of mouth is no longer good enough.
Yeah,
Excuse me. And it's actually quite sad that their marketing team hasn't told them like, hey, we need to start probably going to these other gaming conventions and showing off like what we're trying to achieve. They probably get called on their bullshit, but you know, that's what they should be doing.
I mean, I think if they do show up at a game convention, they're going to have to drag Gary Oldman and Mark Hamill with them.
Probably.
I mean, that's my opinion. In order to get it hyped up more, and bigger and stuff like that. Chat's still talking about the key bindings and how you have to almost have like 3 keyboards to play this game. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I agree with you, Marcus. Word of mouth isn't enough anymore. It's I gotta see the trailer. I gotta see the gameplay trailer. I gotta see the reviews and one of my favorite streamers playing it. Otherwise, most people don't even consider it. Like the small-minded people don't even consider it.
Yeah, I try not to form any real opinions on a game until I see actual gameplay footage, because even in like trailers and stuff, they'll give you vertical slices, where they'll they'll over God, what's the word for it? Pre-render everything and all that shit, so it looks super beautiful and fucking great. And it's like fucking looking at a picture of McDonald's on the internet, like, damn, that burger looks good. And then you go get it, and it's like, did someone step on this fucking thing? Like, what the fuck happened? It's that type of stuff. So I try to wait until I see stuff, because going back to earlier, I don't think Squadron 42 is going to see the big success like Boulder Gate and stuff like that.
No, I don't think so.
Because like what Mark is saying, it's a linear story, based on a lot of tropes that would have been big back in the fucking 80s,
90s, early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been really big when that was hot and that was cool. But now this feels like a capture the glory days style game, and no one's going to really like that unless Squadron 42 comes out with some new innovative systems, which I don't see happening looking at Star Citizen. But who knows? We know there's a lot of things in Starfield that they haven't put in Star Citizen, like being able to position your hands. But who knows if that's going to be like special hand grab areas, like Just Cause, where it has the yellow stripe areas where you can grab.
But you can position your hands in Assassin's Creed. Like you can walk up to a wall and it automatically puts your hands out because it knows it's a fucking wall. Like that's not innovative tech. You know what I mean? That's still not even around already.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed made that innovative where you wanted to go grab, the game actually would map out, is that an actual grabbable ledge? Could you grab that in real life?
Even like if you're walking through crowds in Assassin's Creed, the hands will actually touch the people and like move the people out of the way.
Like
you know what I mean?
Like pull them on the shoulder, or push them out of the way. Yeah. I really like that. I was going to bring up Valhalla, but I'm not going to because that'll start a whole nother rabbit hole, especially with me.
Even Assassin's Creed, it has that very open world feel to it, and people love that. Nobody likes that linear. You have to go from A to B, and there's nothing in between A and B. Like the old school Halo 1, where it's just nothing but corridors, and you're just walking down a tunnel. 99.9% of the game.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
There's that 1% where it's like an open area, but still, even in that open area, you have point A to point B.
See, like even I was reading that the next Battlefield game, they're trying to expand it to like a Battlefield world, right? Where it's like it's an actual the entire play map is a world. You know what I mean? They're really trying to get away from the linear based story to where you don't have to do these kind of things in order, because nobody wants to do that anymore.
Even the new Call of Duty doesn't even have a campaign now. They're dropping the campaign completely. They're doing the zombies world thing where it's the big open world zombies. Instead of campaign, that's what you're going to get. And that's what people want.
Yeah,
they want that big open shit.
My perfect world would be have what Starfield has in terms of like story, but just in the PTU. You could even have it to where there's two ways you can do this, right? So the first way you can do this is like there's an overall narrative for each patch, right? Does that create more work? Yes. But there's an overall theme for the patch and there's an overall objective that everyone's trying to achieve, depending on what side you're on, right? Or you can make it to where it's more like Starfield, but just in an MMO setting to where each of us three could have like our own story going on, but it's not affecting each other. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be doing your main quest, I could be doing my main quest, and Scar could be doing his main quest, and nobody's affected, right? But you can also have people come in and enjoying you and doing quests and things like that. It could totally be like that, and it could be great. But I don't know why they're not picking up on the clues. And I think that's also because, you know, Chris Roberts wants to make his thing, but understand that times are changing. You got to change with it.
Exactly.
We discuss a lot about story and lore being in Star Citizen, and I think the best way to inject lore is to have little bits of, like, I don't even care if it's a long 10 mission or 10 part mission or anything like that, but just little missions here and there that give you little tidbits of the lore to go with what's going on in Star Citizen would be phenomenal. And we don't even get that. If we want to know anything about the lore, we have to either go to CIG's website or some third-party forum to find out about, you know, the Xi'an aliens, or, you know, why is Hurston so dirty and gross looking, you know?
And my thought on that though is because they're making Squadron 42 and they already, you know, because they want Squadron 42 and Star Citizen to both be canon and the story be one and the same. So basically what they were saying is you're going to get like all the story from Squadron 42 and then you're going to go into Star Citizen. So now you can't add anything to Star Citizen because you can't have anything out of canon in one game or the other. So it has to work for both. So any story element, you have to wait until that is all fully mapped out, planned, and scheduled in Squadron 42. Because if you have some big force in Squadron 42 that comes up, and you know, you learn all about them, and then you get to Star Citizen and they just don't fucking exist, you know, it's gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way. So now they're in a stupid corner where it's like, well, we have to make it work for Squadron 42 also.
Yeah. So here's another thing. I know we've kind
of I'll be right back.
All right. Great. Now Marcus isn't here. What are we gonna do? We can't have a 3-man show without 3 men.
We'll just talk bad about him while he's gone.
Oh.
Man, this guy's always getting calls and texts when we're streaming. Jeez.
I know.
What is this, amateur hour?
Hey, man. Hopefully he doesn't keep his phone muted while he's talking. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put a note up at the beginning of in the comment section saying I had it muted for the first minute. Oops.
Exactly, Jim. We'll talk about him.
Yeah.
See, Jim's on board.
So you got any funny stories about Marcus?
Jeez, I have plenty, but what's a good one?
Anything that starts and ends with allegedly.
Allegedly, there's this one time this kid broke into our house, or my house, and stole some stuff. And so, you know, we called the cops and everything, but since we were little snot-nosed kids, they didn't want to listen to it, right? You know, adults having to listen to, you know, 2 little kids that our house was broken into. You know, they didn't want to deal with it. They were like, oh, where's your parents? You know, did parents witness this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's the middle of the day. What do you think my parents are? They're at work. So no, they weren't here and they didn't see it. And so they didn't want to do anything. So, allegedly we went to this kid's house and smashed some windows and stuff, and Marcus punched him in the face, allegedly.
You talking about the kid that stole from you?
Yeah. Allegedly all this happened, and
Allegedly, right?
they moved out after that. I don't know why. Allegedly they moved out.
I don't know how many stories you want to tell because the statute of limitations on certain things, I don't know.
Yeah.
Rakuno,
Some of them.
how you doing? Okay, so before you got up to leave, I was going to ask this question. It's kind of hard to do, and it probably won't be expanded upon too much, but we'll see what you guys do with this one. Star Citizen versus Starfield for ships.
Star Citizen has better ships.
Yeah, I would say Star Citizen has better ships, but I think the way that ships function and Starfield is better because you actually can put like an NPC crew on your ship. There's more customization options where you don't have to pay for a paint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything is very modular. And with everything being very modular, you're not going to get these high fidelity design ships that have like, these different manufacturers that have different things. You can really make a hodgepodge ship on Starfield, which is cool. So like, I really like both. I think both are great. And it's tough, but I do have to lean towards Star Citizen as far as like the ships. And it's mostly just because the ship combat is just better in Star Citizen. That's my reason behind it.
How about you, Canop?
I like Star Citizen ships a lot more. I mean, it's really hard to compete when you're like, but you get to see the full majestic scale of ships in Star Citizen, right? Like, get a little Pisces and you walk around that, and then you get like, a Carrack or a Hammerhead, and you're just the scale of walking, the length of your ship, like the A2, this would be a great example. You get the big old massive A2 and you're like, wow. And then you go over, you press the button and the door, swings open and the ramp comes down. You get to walk up onto your ship, close the door back behind you. Those are experiences that you can't replicate, in Starfield. Walking the length of your ship to get to the cockpit, those have emotional feels on people. When you buy the, like the 890 and then you're taking the walk to the bridge, you get that feeling of power, right?
Mm-hmm.
You feel a type of way when you do that. Where Starfield is like, you press a button and you warp up into there, and you're at the main deck and you just walk over to the next room and sit down in the thing, and then you click take off, and you're in space. Versus Star Citizen, where you get in, you have to turn your ship on. If you got a big ship now, you're switching powers to shields, kind of like you're warming up the truck. Letting the shields generate before you take off, and then you don't have to take off to space. You take off and fly around the city, or out into the nothingness, and you're not going to beat that. You're not going to beat that in any other game.
That's very true. It's good points.
I agree. I like both of you. I do like a lot of aspects of Starfield. Being able to modulate your ship and have NPC crews, and have like a cooking station in there, or you can have your armaments and arsenal in the back of the ship and have them on display and everything. All that's really cool, but for me, nothing quite does it like Star Citizen. From space to Atmo to look,
that's a very good point.
I mean, look, I've bought the A2, and just like Marcus, I've bought the A2 like 5 times this year, and it hasn't. Unfortunately, the grind has gotten old. But when you push that buy button and you go to the ASOP terminal and you call it for the first time, and the elevator doors open and you just see that sexy, thick beast of a ship sitting there,
Oh yeah, those giant
Yeah.
Lorryville hangars too. You know, you
Yeah.
got that crisp, beautiful hangar and that, you know, grand fucking ship, you know, and that big ass hangar sitting in the center there. Yeah, you feel some kind of way.
Yeah.
You open that back loading bay and you see those giant size 10 gifts.
Oh
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
exactly.
Like that's just the feels right there. Like you're absolutely right. But I do like some of the elements of Starfield, how they've simplified some of the things. Like docking is very simple.
Yeah.
You come up to the area, you press one button, and it docks.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
docking doesn't work in Star Citizen most of the time.
No.
Most of the time, you're fighting, you know, to dock with a landing station. You know, you can't dock with other ships most of the time. So things like that, you know, the simple things. It does the simple things right, and you know that's good. Some of the things I wish, you know, Starfield had was like the fuel consumption. I thought that was going to be a thing, and it's not.
Mm-mm.
I do wish there was like atmospheric reentry, but I understand. Like, I'm not upset about it because I understand the Xbox sucks, and if they had atmospheric reentry, it'd probably melt everyone's fucking Xbox.
Yeah.
Just saying. There's a lot of data that goes into this stuff, and you
Speaking of
need the
that-
hardware. You need the hardware to perform it.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, which reminds me, something you probably would want to react on, you know, your Hot Take Tuna Tuesdays, is the guy who remade Starfield in like a couple of hours, or it was like a couple of days. It's on YouTube, and I'll send you the link for it. Yeah, I need to go watch it, but somebody recreated Starfield.
I mean,
By
we can watch
themselves.
it. We can watch it right now on the thing. If you want to.
And I want to go see, you know, their take on it and what they did. That'd be interesting to see because you know they didn't make it in the same engine.
No, they probably didn't. They probably did. They probably used Unreal 4
Yeah.
or 5, probably, or Unity, one of the two.
I would probably say it's Unreal 4 because Unreal 5 doesn't have a lot of things still. It's getting close. I think we're getting close to being able to make a space game in Unreal 5, but I think there's certain things that we still need. I don't know like how Unreal 5 would handle because they only have like a render distance of 88 million kilometers. So
they also have problems with vehicles. Like you don't see any kind of Unreal flight sim, you know. And there's a reason for that because Unreal isn't like a good engine for that kind of stuff. I would expect it to see something like that made in like Unity. Unity would be good for that because it's a lot more Java based, and so I would expect to see it like made in Unity. Or if they did make it in Unreal, it would probably be kind of like how it flies now, where it's kind of like what Marcus says. It's like flying a plane in space.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could probably do something like that where it's kind of like a car that flies, that looks like it's flying around in space.
I kind of knew it was coming, but I was a little let down by the space flight in Starfield. I mean, it's really, really, really arcadey.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? Knowing Bethesda, I am actually really shocked at how well that the whole ship stuff turned out for them. You know, this was their first attempt. Well. This is their first attempt at this kind of stuff, and they actually, you know, they did an okay job at it. It could have been a lot worse.
The biggest thing with the space flight and Starfield is you can't combine your thrust movements. So if you're going forward, you can only go forward or backwards. If you hit like I don't know what button it is because I don't fly with the keyboard and mouse in Starfield. If I with my controller, because it gives you better control. But if you hit like RB, you can use your thrusters then. So you can use your thrusters to like if someone like jousts past you, you can use your thrusters to flip your ship around and get back on target. You can't combine them though. That's the biggest thing. If there was a way to combine these two movements, I think the space flight would feel a lot better in Starfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I said, I'm disappointed in how it came out, but Canop is right for it being their first go at trying to do something like this. It came out good for them, I suppose. It's just as we said, we're kind of spoiled by Star Citizen, and its flight as bad as some of us. Well, as some of us don't like it as much as others, but it's done pretty well. It really is.
I think
Get ready for the ice bucket. Get ready for the ice bucket. You know, the reality shock when master mode comes and all of it's, you know, it's all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, somebody from Latif from chat wanted to know what you guys felt about Jumptown coming back on September 21st.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same as all the other Jumptowns.
Yeah, it's nothing new.
No.
I would like to see them bring back the blockade. I think the blockade was a good fun mission. I know they've been trying to do Xenothreat, but Xenothreat breaks the servers.
Mm-hmm.
And from what my knowledge, the blockade was actually pretty good. It actually ran pretty well. It wasn't like server breaking or anything like that. So, you know, I would like to see that one again.
So
but I don't think they're going to be bringing the blockade back anytime soon, especially with Master Modes on the horizon. The blockade with Master, even Xenothreat with Master Modes is going to be a shit show.
Yeah. Jumptown starts and there's that novelty. Everyone wants to rush there because, you know, there's going to be the PvP fights in the air and stuff, but it always ends up turning into, well, everyone loses interest and then you can go there basically by yourself and get some free drugs. Like Ghost Hollow. People can solo Ghost Hollow now, like with nobody waiting for someone to show up.
Yeah. Nobody's going.
Like the last time we went there with 3 of us, you know, the other guy was able to just land and run the terminals, and we were just sitting there bored in the sky waiting for someone to show up, but no one ever came.
Yeah, but we were even like antagonizing
taunting people in chat.
Yeah, and nobody showed up. He did like what he did it enough times to make 900,000, I think it was.
Yeah, he almost made $1 million off of it.
Yeah,
no one ever showed up.
Nobody showed up.
It's just that it was just sad, and it's just that's what Jumptown ended up becoming.
Yeah, Jumptown.
You know, but like Xenothreat and Blockade, people are always doing that because, you know, ships spawning in and dogfighting.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, you know, the big dogfight between everybody breaks out. You know.
Yep.
The mission's in. It's either jump out or get shot out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you're there looking for salvage, you're probably going to get blown up.
Yeah, you better hope you don't get spotted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Go ghost mode. Otherwise, like,
yeah. If someone sees a reclaimer out there, that's the first one to go.
The vultures will be next.
Yep. The ships that can't defend themselves.
Exactly.
Since it was brought up, we'll start with Canop on this one because I most of us know Marcus's opinion. I do want to hear it again for sure, but I want to start with Canop. Master modes. How are you feeling on those?
Master modes is, I hope it's going to be the feature that comes in and then gets taken back out swiftly once the outrage of the community boils over, because it sounds really nice, right? Make flying super easy for everybody, but then when you're like, well, I can't fly as free as I used to be, this really sucks, you know, comes around. Master modes is going to be awful. There's not going to be anybody who's played before master modes, I feel like, is going to be in a position where they're like, I never adjusted to master modes. You know, master modes is killing it for me. You know, once you reduce the freedoms of flying, which is like your biggest point in your game right now, you know, fuck shooting yourself in the foot. You're amputating the whole goddamn leg. You know, you're removing that freedom. And then, you know, you're going to have to choose between, am I going to commit to this fight or am I going to run? There's not going to be any in between. You know, you're going to go into this fight or you're running from this fight, and you need to pick now, like right now before the bullets start flying. And that runaway option is taken away from you.
Even still, like, the runaway option is not really an option, because even before you explode your quantum drive, they can still shoot you with missiles. You have no option to flare.
Yeah.
Has that been confirmed or denied yet? About
it's been pretty much confirmed.
It's okay.
Buzzcut was talking. I saw his video yesterday. He was kind of talking about it. But yeah, so, you know, here's my thing on master modes. Does everybody know what an F-22 Raptor is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how fast that plane can fly?
What is it? Mach 2 something? 2.2?
1,500 miles per hour. Okay. Master modes, what is our speed locked to? 220 meters per second, which is about 400 or 500 miles per hour. So here's what I'm saying. If modern times, our combat planes right now can fly up to Mach fucking 2, right? And you're telling me that in combat, I have to fly at a quarter of that speed? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
And in space too, where there's like
And in space, there's no resistance. I got 500 miles. That's it.
Yeah.
And especially like when Canop was saying back in the day, I could go, 1,400 meters per second. But now I can only go 220.
Yeah.
I did a test last night before they wiped my A2 from the PTU, where I was dropping bombs at SCM speed in the A2, and every time I blew up because I'm not able to get away. I tried to simulate what it would be like to drop a bomb. Either you're gonna have to drop that bomb from way up high, which is gonna get shot down, or you have to drop the bomb from very low to hit your target. But in either case, you're screwed because you're not gonna be able to get away from anybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or take an Eclipse, or a Retaliator for that matter. You're going to go into master modes and you're going to be a sitting target. Because the whole point of these ships is to not be around when the shooting starts. Okay?
Feel sorry for anyone who spent real money on those racing ships. Because your racing ship ain't going to be racing no more.
Yeah, you're going to be locked at us. Well, I mean, you could fly in QCM mode, but then if you hit a rock, you're definitely done for. Your shields aren't going to stop you.
Yeah, your shields aren't going to help you out.
You're not going to, because when I watch people low fly, or even myself, just, I do something stupid and hit a station, the shield partially saves you before you explode, depending on how deep your angle was or how steep your angle was into it.
And the gimbals that are master modes are essentially worthless because you have a decreased fire rate, which is okay, fine, but it's so decreased that even if you are a new pilot and you're fighting somebody who is also a new pilot that can aim better than you, you're gonna get out DPS'd. So it's still a DPS game. They haven't fixed that. You know what I mean? It's still whoever can shoot, has the most DPS on target, which that's how it should be.
Yeah.
But you're gonna penalize somebody that can't target that much. I can understand that with a bigger ship like a A2, like a Hammerhead, or any of these big weapons, right? Severely reduce their gimbals because they have much bigger weapons. But we're talking about a light fighter where you need to be able to, if you have gimbals, to be able to hit your fucking target. They're still useless. You can still outmaneuver the gimbals. You know what I'm saying? It's still not good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd like to see your fix instead, like you said one time, reduce the ability to be able to fly backwards at back speeds.
Yeah.
That would help combat a lot too. You're not sitting there chasing somebody who's flying back strafing, missile spamming you.
I mean, it's impossible. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever done it, but if you fight against somebody that's in a Talon Shriek and they get separation on you, all they're going to do is just backstrafe and keep firing missiles at you. And with how
once they're dead, they're going to quantum away.
Yeah, and with how bad the lock is with EMs right now, they're not going to miss. Every missile's going to hit. It might take a little while, but every missile's going to hit.
Yeah.
So I would like to see the backstrafe go away, but as far as it should be half of your forward.
I should think it should be a quarter.
Yeah, even that.
Because the engines are designed to propel you forward.
Yeah, not back.
And I think the reverse thrust should be used if you're I think the strongest thrust should be forward and up. Those should be your strongest thrust movements. Down and backwards shouldn't be like your strongest thrust movements.
No, and only on ships like, you know, the Vulture or the Prospector and stuff should have stronger backwards.
Yeah.
You know, because they'll be, you know, face down looking towards the planet.
Exactly. Or let be or any ship that does like any type of like ship towing or anything like that. If you have to like use a ship to pull a ship like that should have stronger reverse thrusters. But just fixing that is a better fix than completely changing your flight model to something else. Because like what happens, you know, when you're in a 1v1 fight with somebody and then his friend jumps in. He's like, well, I wasn't expecting to fight his friend too. Once you have two ships on you, you're no longer going to be able to do 2v1s. That's dead. That's dead.
The limited amount I've seen from you and One Nut and a few other content creators is even the highly skilled dogfighters, when they've gotten into the master mode AC, they seem to also struggle getting enough separation in a dogfight to get their shields back if it comes down to that. And
yeah, every time I've seen it, they're always dealing with swarming. They're always getting outnumbered and just wrecked. Absolutely wrecked.
There's no way. Like I was watching, I'm not a big fan, but I was watching Steak Sauce do 1v1s and try to gain separation once he lost the shields against somebody, and there was very little separation to the point where he started to pull away, but as soon as he started to pull away, the other guy was able to get back on him, start getting bullets on him, and keep those shields from recharging, because you know it's a 10-second delay, which is an absolute eternity in a dogfight.
Yeah, and you're both stuck going the same speeds. You know, how you're going to outrun somebody who goes the same speed as you?
Exactly.
You know, all he has to do is watch where you're turning and cut a tighter line, and he's going to be right back on you.
Yeah. And
there's no running away.
There's a lot of people that will yell and scream and stomp their feet about jousting and how annoying it is and all of that. And jousting is really a symptom of, it's mostly newer players that can't control their speed. They just bury it. It doesn't matter if you're on keyboard, you got a joystick, or you got pedals for your thrust. It's a symptom of not knowing how to control your speed. And I'm not saying I'm the best PvPer in the world. I've never, ever said that. So Marquise de Gromont, or whoever the hell your name is, if you're watching, I'm not that good. So pat yourself on the back all you want. I have seen other players that will time the joust and do the pre-nosing thing and hit the boost at just the right time, and they're all over their rear end already. Even though the guys,
they'll start pre-turning on them, and they'll change their velocity to try to match them as they're flying by.
Yep. So, like, there's a lot of people that are like, "Well, you can't fight jousting." Well, yeah, you can. You just have to be a better pilot. That's all. And I'm not saying anybody that has problems with speed control, you're a shit pilot. It's something you got to learn.
It's almost like CIG should have taught people how to control their ships.
Yeah.
What do you mean with a tutorial?
A good tip I do with any ship is I'll fly it around and I'll take the speed up past, the SCM until I feel like it's getting too slidey for me, and that'll be my max speed for said ship. And every ship I have has its set limit in the red that I will fly to, because I'm comfortable with being able to control that speed. There's rarely, unless for some reason some shit's gone wrong, I don't really ever have my ship at max speed. Because, I know that if I go max speed and I'm in a fight, if we start turning, which we're going to start turning, I'm just going to slide all out to hell, and you're going to be back on me before I can swing back around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it all comes down to, I mean, look, I like the style. I'm not, like I said, I'm not good at it. I was at one point, maybe, I don't know, maybe slightly better than meh, but I like the knife fighting aspect because it's all about controlling your angles and becoming evasive and all that other stuff. But yeah, it's I don't know. I like the current system. I am not sure if I don't think I'm gonna like. I don't think I'm gonna like master modes at all. And I think there's gonna be a lot of people that are in the top, that are some of the top pilots that can very easily solo ERTs and like their Gladius and their Sabers and all their other, light fighters, that when it comes to that, I think they're gonna start struggling with like VHRTs, HRTs and VHRTs, because a lot of the times those ships are stacked up on each other. So you're trying to move in close to get your shots on the target. You're gonna have 3, 4, 5 other ships all shooting at you at the same time with no ability to cause separation between all of them.
And that's why I think the NPC bounties that are the ship bounties will not be played as much anymore. People will exclusively be doing the service beacons. Because service beacons, they're not going after you directly at first.
Mm-hmm.
They're going after their target. So that's why I think like when master modes becomes like a thing in the PTU, like nobody's going to be doing ship bounties anymore.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, just imagine fighting. You go to a service beacon, and it's all the fuckers with ballistics.
Yeah,
you know how fucking painful that's gonna be. You're not able to outrun them. They got infinite ballistics. Dudes on you with a fucking minigun and a shotgun, just blasting your asshole open.
Yeah,
they're gonna be shredding.
That's gonna be bad.
They're gonna be shredding you like a tin can. Like it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really bad. Especially, and once again, you might be able to do it with an Eclipse or a Retaliator, but I think people are going to have a really, really hard time even doing like Connie versus Hammerhead or Redeemer versus Hammerhead.
Or how about the annoying thing like where you're flying up to enemy NPCs and out of range they'll start shooting missiles at you. Like you're gonna have to fly even longer and have even more missile spam coming at you because it's gonna take you even fucking longer to get out of missile range.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know, some of the ship speeds really have me worried. Like I think they're still up, but Winners at one point went over to the website and was going through all their SCM speeds for master modes when they first announced this. I still scratch my head at this. The what do you call it? The Gladius is 274 in SCM. The Arrow is 270. The Vanguard Warden is 174.
Yeah, that 4 extra SCM for the Arrow is really gonna help it out, huh?
Right. The 174 for a Warden, that's got to be what, 300 miles an hour in real life?
Something like that.
What is a freelancer?
174. That's 389 miles an hour.
Yeah. What is a freelancer max going to be flying like? Like 100 meters a second?
Right.
Same with like a Valkyrie. What is that going to be at? 100, 200? I mean,
what about the Connie? Is it going to be 174? Because at max speed, that thing flies just under 1,000.
Yeah. In a straight line, yeah.
Yeah, she's a fast ship. So, like, is it can also be as fast as an Arrow? Like, imagine you're out in an Arrow getting bodied by a Connie because you can't outrun it.
Right.
I mean, even if you do try to outrun it, especially if it's the Andromeda, you're going to have like what, 68 missiles flying at you?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and if they're fucking rattlers, multiply it by 8.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be.
There's no fucking hope.
Yeah.
No hope.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be wild, man. It's going to be real wild. A couple more things on
Constellation Andromeda SCM speed is going to be 190.
190.
God, it's gonna be faster than a fucking Arrow. Yeah, so that big ass ship is faster than a light fighter. Go figure.
Well, no. It'll be faster.
No, the
than
Arrow's going to be like 200 and something.
Yeah, it's going to be like.
I thought you said 174.
No, the Vanguard Warden is going to be 174.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the big heavy bombing or multi-role fighters that are supposed to be fighter bomber multi-role, the big heavy ones are going to go slower than the targets that they're going for. That doesn't make sense.
The
For
color's
that, I'm
black.
trying to pirate you.
The
Right?
color's black. Best in Show edition has an SEM of 220.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of upset Cuddy pilots when they get their engine shut off. Oof.
Right.
Ouchie.
The Retaliator has SEM of 145.
Oh my god. The missiles are going to be going 6 times faster than you. Wow.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt.
Gladius is, hold on. The Gladius Valiant's the slower one, so the Valiant's going to be not used. The Gladius is 280. Same thing with the pirate.
The pirate one.
The Gladius, yeah, the pirate one.
It's going to be interesting, man. What you got the A2 up on there? I'm really interested to see if they got the A2 on there.
It's gonna be
it's probably on here. I don't think they've updated the Carrack, but the Carrack has an SEM of 1076.
Oh yeah, that's what it's at right now.
It's gonna change in the future. The only way you got pirated is because you were AFK.
Yeah, I mean it's if it's 1076 now and the Connie is 1100 something, it's probably going to be down right around 180, 190 like the Connie.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the A2 was in the hundreds as well.
That's going to hurt so bad for trying to bomb.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt so bad.
People will be like, I'm so sick and tired of these A2 suicide bombers. And A2 people will be like, well, I'd get away from my bomb if I could.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy.
Oh my god, the A2 is 135.
135?
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Dude, if that's 135, how slow are these capital ships going to be?
Right?
Dude, the capital ships are going to be crawling. They're going to be crawling.
That's why I said these SCM speeds are too slow. Like, it should at least be 75%.
Wow, that's
whatever you have.
That's insanity. I did not know it was going to be affected that badly. Wow. Yeah, capital ships.
They have the Nautilus on here.
What's that going to be?
Jim,
115.
Master Modes is not coming out anytime soon. It's in the PTU. It's in the PTU under Arena Commander. It's not coming out with 320. It's more than likely not coming out with 320 with 321. It's probably not going to make it out until
4.0.
4.0 or later. So next year, next Christmas. So
yeah, because we're not getting Pyro this year.
No. Oh, I'm not asking, Rakumo, I'm not asking for any one ship to be able to solo any other ships. What I am asking for is not to be flying so slow I can flick a booger out and the booger is going to outrun me to the ground.
Right.
You know.
And what we're talking about here is the freedom of flight, right? You know, I kind of mentioned this earlier. Like, we've been able to fly freely and use our ship to its full capability. It's just like you buy a Ferrari, right? And you get the newest Ferrari, the one that's the hybrid Ferrari, right? And then they tell you, it's like, oh, you have a governor of 75 miles an hour. Like, what? I can only drive my Ferrari 75 miles an hour? It's like, why did I pay $200,000 for this hypercar that I can only drive 75 miles an hour? It's ridiculous.
Stranger wants to know if you got the if you can get the SCM for the cat.
Caterpillar?
Yeah,
I gotta go back the other way.
It's probably like
it's probably gonna be in the 100s.
Freedom's
like
gonna be gone. There's no more. You're gonna be flying forward, start to go up and diagonal at the same time. You know, there's no more. Yeah, there's gonna be no more of that. You're gonna be going, one direction.
Yeah.
They might add in, go forward and move lateral up and down.
They said they got there's bi-cording, but their tri-cording is gone.
Yeah, so that's going to be sad.
Mm-hmm. And they also are pushing it more for you to use. They want you to. They kind of nerf 45-degree turns, and that what they want you to do is fly more. Even when you're in space, fly more like how planes fly in atmosphere, where they, you want to make a sharp right-hand turn. What do planes do? They roll, and then turn.
Bank it.
Yeah, they bank turn, and they said that's kind of what they're going for. They want you to do more of those bank turns than just being like, oh, I'm going to tilt at 45, use up thrust.
Yeah, but I mean, even in real life, right? If we had the flying capabilities that these ships had in real life, that's how we would be fighting. Ships would be flying forward, and they'll cut their thrust and turn sideways to shoot at a target.
Yeah.
They would do that in real life. I mean, planes do that now. Fighters will. I mean, have you ever seen the Cobra turn?
Yeah.
Where you'll flare your belly sideways and spin.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you seen the show Battlestar Galactica? They do a lot of really very realistic maneuvers in space because they have 6 degrees of freedom, and they show them using it quite a bit in the show, where a ship will just stop, flip, and pull the trigger on somebody else.
Yeah, and that's what we do in real life.
Yeah, it's God, I love Battlestar Galactica. Did you find the SCM there, Marcus?
I'm still looking for it.
They may not have it up yet. I know they have, some are up and some are not.
Yeah, I don't even see the caterpillar on the ship matrix. Not that the ship matrix is in any kind of order.
Right.
Oh, order?
The guy who wrote Star Citizen code wrote that matrix also.
Oh, the Expanse is pretty good. I've never seen the show, but I've seen clips of it, and it looks amazing. I've wanted to watch that for a long time, but it's I think it's either Prime or Apple only, and I already have enough streaming services. I don't need to add another one. So one more Star Citizen versus Starfield thing, and then we'll kind of move on from there. I'm sure a few people want to know the answer to this. How do you find the NPCs in Starfield? You can compare them directly to Star Citizen if you want, but
Caterpillar is 130.
Caterpillar is 130 SCM. Woo!
Yeah, crawling.
That's a slow girl.
For real. Star Citizen to Starfield NPCs would be night and day, right? Because where Star Citizen NPCs, there's 2 classes of NPCs, right? There's the non-functional and the semi-functional ones. Like your non-functional are all you people you see like walk around the station in the fucking chairs, and people at kiosk and stuff like that are just standing there. They don't function like they're supposed to. And then you got your semi-functional. Yeah, they're basically freaking placeholders that slide around. And then you got your semi-functional, which is your bad guys, just basically your bad guys, and some good the securities. They're kind of good NPCs, but they're very Star Citizen. They're very like lifeless. They just, you can very much tell they're NPCs. If there's not a human there, that they're dealing with that human, then they're just completely lifeless. Even enemies. If you're not there for them to look at and be, wanting to engage, they just, stand there like they don't exist. Right. And it's really sad. Versus Starfield NPCs actually feel like they're somebody. You'll see them on one. If you're in a city long enough, if you see somebody at one point of the town, you'll see them somewhere else in the other point of town doing something. They go to bars, they visit places, they talk to each other. Every NPC in Starfield actually feels like, that they could be somebody in a world.
Yeah.
Even with their jankiness and their voice lines and the whole weird ass shit they'll talk about with each other, and they'll have the same conversations over and over and over. Of course they have all that weird shit, but besides that, they really feel like they belong in the game. Versus Star Citizen, it's like, oh shit, we forgot NPCs, copy paste this in.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I just think that as far as like the world feels more alive in Starfield, and that's one of the things that I enjoy. It's like in Star Citizen, especially in the space stations, you just feel like you're in a room of deaf people that don't have any communication skills. They're just walking around, and most of the time they're walking around in slow motion, because the server's tick rate is so bad,
right?
Or standing on chairs, and just like, I would feel a lot better in Star Citizen if there were no non-functional NPCs, taking up server load and server space versus having NPCs that, were behind the counter, or the NPCs in the bunkers, or wherever else you would find your missions at.
Mm-hmm.
Until they actually figure out how the fuck they want to put NPCs into the game. Just having these guys just sit around and just kind of like take up space is just killing the servers. Like, let's take all the things out of the game that don't serve a fucking purpose. Like the rat shit. Like, I don't know why there's rat shit in the game. There's no rats. So where does this shit come from? You know what I'm saying? I hate every time I open a white box, I have to sit there and manually drop all this rat shit on the ground because it just doesn't there's no creatures in the game for it to come from. It's like, where did you get this stuff from? It serves absolutely no purpose. This item is literally just here taking up fucking space. It's like, oh, in the future. I'm like, we're not in the future, we're in the present. Get everything out of the game that serves no fucking purpose, and to include these fucking NPCs.
Yeah, the server would run better without all these fucking useless NPCs around. That's a given.
One thing I both asked this question to you guys, and would you rather deal with an NPC store clerk in Star Citizen or the screen?
The screen. All the NPCs could be cardboard cutouts for all I fucking care in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Right? ASOP is a great idea. The ASOP was a great fucking idea, and they should stick to it. The fucking terminal, everything.
So even at like the like Cubby Blast,
even even at the little outpost, the little fucking guy that's there for the missions and stuff, get rid of him. Put a kiosk there.
Right.
I would rather deal with literally a cardboard cutout than fucking have to talk to an NPC.
It's not like I can kill him or rob him or anything like that, or take his shit. So like, why is he there?
That would be
one thing that I wish that was in Star Citizen, that was in Starfield, that's in Starfield, is the way the armistice zones there work. If you go there and you don't have a bounty and like you're chilling out, they're cool. But the moment you start shooting people, the entire fucking place turns on you. I love that aspect of Starfield. I wish Star Citizen was like that. You know what I mean? The moment that someone comes in and starts shooting, it's like, okay, weapons free. Everybody take them down.
Yeah, I like the bounty system in Bethesda games because they're also, they're faction and city dependent. So if you commit, if you kill some people in one place and go somewhere else, they're not going to give a fuck. They're not out to get you. You don't have a bounty there with them or their faction or whatever. That's the other city's problem, not theirs.
Yeah, I do like
that. And that's how Star Citizen should be too. I like that shit. Their bounty system is really good.
I think I agree with Marcus and you. I think Star Citizen could take a page out of their book. You could get rid of armistice zones and make it a lot like Starfield or any other game. But as soon as, you pull your weapon and start shooting, you're not going to have to worry about just the other players. You got to worry about the mobs of NPCs that are going to come gunning for you. You're not going to be able to kill them all. You're going to die. And I think they should do the same thing with planet-side or moon-based armistice zones. Get rid of the armistice zones. Put up those nasty turrets that you got at the bunkers. Put up like 6, 8 of those things, and put a couple of and this requires working NPCs, but put a couple of like let's say you're in the Hurston area. Put a couple of NPC Hurston security gladiuses or arrows there. I come in there guns blazing on another player. Now I have to worry about the 8, 9, 10 turrets and the 2 gladiuses that just went up into the air to come after me. So yeah, I may have got that player, but I am not getting away very quickly or fast.
Yeah, I would like to see, that with a little bit of, like what, other games do where cops, will be spawning in. So like, if you're like at a planet, like let's say, Lorryville or whatever, you start shooting people, all of a sudden, now cop cars will start, come flying in and landing, and cops will come out and come after you, and stuff like that would be really cool.
It would be.
When you're in stations, in the security area, guys start coming out of the elevator to come for you and stuff like that. They spawn and start hunting you down.
Yeah.
And then like if you're out in the middle of nowhere, then they start spawning in, like a big ship, like a Cuddy or something, loaded with some guys. They come down, they come for you, when you're in their jurisdiction.
It would be cool. It would be really cool. I would also like to see rep lock things like, I've said it before, but I would really enjoy, like, if I have a high rep with, say, Crusader security, and I'm doing all their jobs for them and bounties and stuff. I can't just immediately jump over to Yella and fly into Grimhex and be like, hey, yeah, I want to land here. No, their space station should start shooting at me. I'm not welcome there. I'm a goody-goody two-shoe that's been killing them a whole bunch of times. I shouldn't be allowed to land there. And then the vice versa, if I've been doing jobs for Ninetales or I forget the other guy's name, and I try to land at Orison, Orison's going to be like, hell no, we're going to blow you out of the water if you don't get the hell out of this zone immediately. We'll give you 30 seconds, get out of the zone or die. I would love to see that.
Yeah, and going back to like the lore, and I think that's, one of the things I heard about Hurston is like the families are like trying to assassinate each other, and there's all this espionage stuff going on. Like, why is that? Like, why is that not in the game? Because that shit is kind of fun. Like, I just did the espionage arc on Starfield, and that shit was fun, bro. I was having fun moving around.
Yeah,
Refusion. Yeah, that shit was tight, bro.
Dude, that was like a really good side mission, right?
Yeah, it was a really good arc. I'm just like, dang. Like, I played that shit from beginning to end on stream.
It was that good, right?
It was that good. I was like, God damn, this is kind of better than the main story. But yeah, like, where is this at in Starfield? I would love to like work for one of the family members and I have to, go out with a sniper rifle. They're out doing some type of expedition and I have to land my ship X meters away and take a ground vehicle or go on foot and with a sniper rifle and take somebody out. Like, that shit would be fun as fuck.
Right? Yeah.
Like, I'm saying, where is that at?
That's why I was thinking, like, when they introduced the E1, they should introduce the E1, and once you get to a certain tier of VIP, taxi services, they should put out an alert to, like, let's say tier 5 is the max, right? And you got somebody that's got a criminal rep of like tier 5, which let's say is the max. It should put out a thing saying, hey, there's people on this planet that are being I'm not saying give you the god marker like it does with bounties now, but somebody is transporting, super
VIPs.
Super high-end VIPs. They're in this location. Go look for them and we'll pay you if you take them out. And then on the other side, you got somebody in an E1, they're going to know, hey, I got very high priority targets, and it will say in the mission that, hey, these people might have the criminal element looking for them. So, you're going to have to be careful. I would love to see stuff like that, but that's all rep based, and that's the Star Citizen that will be and not that is right now, unfortunately.
That mission sounds fun as fuck, because you need to bring some escorts.
Right?
That'd be the only way you can do it.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. And then it makes more player interactivity and takes a little bit more pressure off devs to create missions for people. You can kind of leave it open and let whatever's going to happen.
Or even if they did something that's like I kind of saw in Starfield like a little bit, was some of the vendors, they only have like a certain amount of items, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you brought them stuff, then it would increase their supply. If you bought stuff, it would decrease their supply.
Oh, yeah.
So like, See, like stations need to be resupplied. Like if they just did missions like that, I think you would have a lot more people trying to do cargo and shit like that. I mean that does exist to a certain extent, but I'm talking about like everything. Like you need to bring refined quantanium to some of these stations. You need to bring hydrogen. They need weapons. They need ammo. Like
Yeah,
that will
they
make their economy dynamic.
yeah, that's something they've shown before is something that they are working on is where that's why we have like all these different elements and everything like when you inside these rocks and they're going to be expanding on it. But yeah, everything in a station is going to be produced and have a demand for resources. So every gun, every ammo clip, every shield module that's in stock was made and used resources. And so that's how the economy is supposed to be based. So you'll have sections that will be, high value at different times. So one place might be, in a bind for a bunch of junk, and another place has too much junk.
Right.
And you can make a high profit, running a junk run from there to there. And then once that place gets a bunch of junk, all of a sudden now they're not paying as much for it, and now you have to find a new loop.
To me, that would make the game far more interesting because right now, when it comes to cargo running, what is it? What does every conversation completely devolve into? Care Bears versus pirates, right? It always breaks down into that. If you had it so that stations or cities needed resources to continue making food, water, hydrogen, quantanium, and things like that, it would actually make the game interesting when it's like, oh, hey, we can't refuel at this station anymore because too many people have been letting it get hit by pirates, and all the quantanium traders that have come in have been hit by Mongrel Squad or Chaos Squad or whoever, and now you can't refuel any quantanium there. Players would be pissed and would actually go out and start mining quantanium, start hauling quantanium.
And that would start like a server-wide dynamic event, right?
Yeah.
Because now people who are going to want to go haul cargo in there for the big haul are going to need to bring security because they already know pirates are going to be camping there because they're waiting for you to come with that quantanium. Because that station needs it. Now you spawn this huge dynamic event inside the server where you got people going to mine, refine, run escorts, run cargo, all just to resupply this one station. It becomes a huge server-wide dynamic event where people get to PvP, do an industry, and all that all combined in one.
And
so that makes sense, Canop.
I know, I'm going to get banned.
Stop making sense.
And what would be really cool, and we've seen this happen before when cargo haulers actually fight back. Like I was watching Jack Axon and him and a crew of a couple of guys fought against Mongol Squad and a couple of their guys. They hit him, they shot him down, but he didn't die, and he was on the ground fighting with Mongrel Squad, and he killed a couple of them, and a buddy came in, they started loading up another ship with what they could off the Caterpillar, and guess who shows up again? Mongrel Squad. And it was just this big back and forth between the two of them. Like one would
battle of attrition.
Yeah, they would kill each other and set up a perimeter and start offloading boxes, and then the other side would come back and kill them or get almost all of them, set up a perimeter, start offloading boxes again, and it went back and forth for a couple of hours. And that's the kind of fun that we can have. But right now, as I was saying, it takes a special cargo hauler mindset to get into those kind of fights. Most of them just backspace or Alt F4, and so I lost my load. I need to go to Spectrum and bitch about how I spent $1.8 million on a load. And
well, now they're testing that in the PTU. There's a function now that says, do you really want to quit? Because like if you leave the game right now, you're in your combat, your ship is supposed to still be there. You and your ship, whatever that's with you, is still supposed to be there.
Yeah.
There's still going to be there's going to be like a vulnerability timer, like after you quit the game if you're just trying to combat log. So
it's in the game. It's in the game now. It doesn't work fully, but yeah, if you're in combat and you leave, you're supposed to. If there's another player near you, you're supposed to stay in. Your player and ship's supposed to stay in the game like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah,
if a player's within range.
Winner's Discord was testing it out in the PTU the other day. Now, I didn't see it with my own eyes. I am only seeing what they were posting in Discord. and it works in the PTU. Like, you can't log. Like, if you log, your stuff is there. They can shoot you down. And when you, like, let's say you're mad and you log out, like you just Alt F4, you log, and they shoot you down when you log in 10 minutes because you're pissed and you walked away, you're dead, and you're going to be respawning at whatever home location you have set, and your ship is destroyed.
Yeah.
So that would be
It's a welcome change.
Yeah, it's a welcome change. It's a welcome change. And it's I don't know. I hope a lot of them stop wearing their tighty whities or their sperm suits and actually put some armor on and put a gun on, and if they get killed,
oh well,
fight them. Fight them. Fight them. Fight them and then call a friend, offload what you can and move on with your life. I don't know, like, an incident happened the other night, as some of you are aware. I got rammed, and if you could see the look on my face where I was like, really? And then immediately picked up my conversation and moved on. Like, it happens. People are dickheads. You just, why throw a fit about it? Just go get your stuff and move on to the next thing. It happens. And the same thing is going to happen when you run cargo. You just have to take that risk when you put your money in there. Don't put all your money into one basket.
And I really think that Star Citizen is trying to move into a place of more multi-crew stuff.
Oh, for
like
sure.
That's going to be an eventuality. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
They really want that.
And they say
it
out loud.
And I think the game is better when it's played with friends.
I do too.
Can you enjoy the game single by yourself? Yes, you can. But you guys have seen me try to go capture people on my own. It's a headache.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's a headache to go make zombies on your own. It's more fun, and it's easier when you have friends. So
I don't want to take too much more of your guys' time, and I was hoping to spend a little bit more time on it, but we did what we did, and we had a good conversation, and I really appreciate you guys being here and doing this with me. My question is, how's your feeling on the state of gaming right now? Either one of you can start, either one of you can finish this, but what's your guys' feeling on the state of gaming right now? Not just Star Citizen and Starfield, but how do you feel about the state of gaming right now? Is it in a good place? Is it in a bad place? Does it need to be developed more? What are your guys' thoughts?
I think, honestly, given the state of gaming and given how I hate giving this ideology, this word, but this woke ideology that's in gaming right now is going to create the next wave of developers and the next wave of studios, because there are so many people right now trying to get their hands into development of games, which is good, because it's going to breed more competition. And I think that is something that we desperately need, because they are making games that are making games with the ideologies that they want to force down our throats, and we just want games that we can play and enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you have an idea and you are semi competent at game development to do it, Unreal 5 is free. Unreal is the future. Okay, it's up to 5.3 now, and they've added all kinds of stuff. Can we make a space game in Unreal yet? No, but you know what? We can still model planets. We can still model solar systems. So it's a good tool, and I think that the state of gaming right now is in a transition phase to where you're going to start seeing more indie games pop up, and it's going to be kind of like a new version of like the early 2000s when there was just a lot of innovation going on in games. You know what I'm saying? When we were getting like the Half-Lives and stuff like that. I think we're going to start seeing smaller people start to push those boundaries again, because what's happened is like every big game is under a conglomerate, right? And they're all about revenue. So games are filled with like loot boxes, paywalls, and all this kind of shit. And we've seen the success of Baldur's Gate 3, where there's no loot boxes, there's no pay to win. It's just you get in the game, you play. If you're good, you're good. If you suck, you suck.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that. So we're starting to see glimmers of hope.
Yeah, I mean, we got, what is it, Lies of P coming out soon in like a couple of days. That's going to be probably another big title that comes out. They don't have any of that kind of stuff in it. And, you know, it's a good game model. It's a Souls-like game, so we already know it's going to do good, right? Look at Elder's Ring, look at any Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
You know, that game coming out, that's you're going to see that's going to make a big wave. Sorry to cut you off there.
No. You weren't cutting me off. I was agreeing with you. I was saying, like, you know, I've become, when it comes to AAA publishers, I've become very critical of a lot of them. Not just the politics and the wokeness, but, and this has been going on for the last 20-ish years now. Every game has a battle pass, and not only is there a battle pass, there's seasonal battle passes. Buy this paint, buy this character model, buy this gun model, buy this mod for this gun, buy this sticker, buy this thing, and it's in every.
Buy the rest of the game.
Yeah, buy the rest of the game. It's in every single model of game there is now. I mean, at first it was just Call of Duty, and then it's in FIFA now, and they make millions upon millions of dollars off of it. The same with Madden and the NBA games. It's everywhere. You know, you go to games like what was it, Lost Ark? That's highly monetized. You know, all of these games, you know, you spend. I mean, game prices have been going up steadily for the last 20 years, but you know, back in the day, you could buy a game for $29, $30. And it was, back then anyways, it was, you bought your game for $29, $39, right? And then 6 months later, a DLC would come out, and or an expansion pack would come out, and you'd be rushing to Best Buy or Circuit Cities to grab the expansion pack for $14.99. Or if it was really, really big, it was another, you know, $24.99, right? But that was it. And like I said, now you got, I mean, shit, you're paying real cash to change the clothes on your character now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I remember what was that? Halo 2 came out with the DLC. It was, you paid $60 to get the game, and then like another $30 to get some extra fucking maps and shit.
Yeah.
Right. Ridiculous.
It's gotten bad. And you know, I make fun of Star Citizen for selling ships at hundreds of dollars, and that's a whole nother conversation that we can have another time. But what I think is incredibly disgusting is the fact that now there's a lot of video game titles where if you want to keep relevant, like let's take Destiny 2 for example. About 2-3 years ago, a buddy of mine was like, hey, you should check out Destiny 2, it's really cool, you know, it's free to play, blah blah blah. So I jump in and I start playing, and then I find out I have to, after I get to rank 6, I have to start buying stuff to unlock the rest of the game. So I call up my friend. I was having fun playing it. I didn't want to text him. I wanted an answer now. So I call him up. I'm like, hey, so what do I all gotta buy to get to where you're at, so me and you can enjoy the same content together? This man over the phone tells me, oh, you got to buy these 6 things. And I'm like, okay. I go to the store. It was going to cost me $170.
Yeah.
I was like, nope, I'm done. Now, people in chat might make fun of me and go, well, you spent $250 in Star Citizen. Yeah, but the content there, like if I wanted to fly around in Aurora, I could definitely do that. Destiny 2, in order to enjoy content, it's behind several paywalls. You can't, like, I could not just go and join my friend and start playing with him. I had to buy all of that crap, and it was no, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm really against the hiding the game content behind a paywall. So it's just like, are you telling me your game sucks that bad that you want me to pay for it even more? You know what I'm saying? Because like, if it's behind a paywall, for me, it probably ain't that good. my
That's kind of
opinion.
how I view it too. If there's that many paywalls, it's not good enough for me to play.
Yeah, my view on AAA titles and gaming in the future here as a whole, it's pretty bleak. There's the whole get it out as quick as possible to make money is really killing the industry. Because a lot of people like to make the argument, oh, well, it's a lot harder to make games nowadays than it was back then. And granted, I will say, kinda it is. But mostly a lot of stuff now is a lot easier, right? Like making an NPC model and code it to walk around in a game now could be done by one person in 15 minutes. Where back then that was all painstakingly, innovatively created and made, for the first time. And that, making it for the first time is a lot harder than making it for the millionth time, And there's a lot more tools and stuff. And they say, but then you look at games that come out that are made by big people that actually still do care, and you'll notice they don't have as nearly as many bugs as these other titles, and they'll be making just as complex of games as them. Look at Legend of Zelda, their two newest titles. Those are very complex games, and they don't have nearly as many bugs as a lot of these new games that come out. It's the quality of work, it has gone down because you can really see the developers don't have the pride behind their work as they used to, and
It's become a machine.
They've become a machine to the corporate thing, and it's not all their fault too, right? Because we buy this garbage up time and time and time again.
It's also lack of options too.
Yeah. We have the options with our money to not buy the shit games.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
We don't have to buy them at all, even when they go on sale. Unless you really if you really want to try something, and if it's a shit game, what we should do is buy it secondhand, right? And not from a store that's affiliated with them. Secondhand, like something like GameStop, buying it used.
Yeah.
Because they don't get any money from that, or buying it from somebody else, because now that company is now losing money, and the only way they get the money is to listen to what we say we like. But they're not going to listen to us as long as they're still making these millions and millions and millions of dollars.
And I also think that a part of the problem is we're in between game tech, right? So a lot of games are still being made in these older engines, a la Starfield, and we have this new technology in Unreal 5 that it's great, but it's not really optimized to be played in yet. These are mostly just demos. I know there are some games that are made in Unreal 5 that are functioning games, but I'm talking about the blockbuster titles, you know what I'm saying? We don't have any of these high fidelity games in Unreal yet. And part of the problem is because some of the hardware that's required to really run this stuff, and especially for the developers, they have to upgrade all of their shit, you know what I'm saying, to use Unreal. So they have to upgrade all of their dev computers. They have to upgrade their engines, their servers, and all that stuff. They don't want to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? So when the Unreal 5 games start coming out, don't be surprised. These games are costing $120 when they come out, because they're going to definitely pass the cost on to us.
So, just to give you an idea of how long it takes for video games to catch up, or even hardware to catch up, it depends on where we're at in the timeline. But for example, PlayStation 4, let's use that one as an example. The last game that used every inch of possibility out of the PlayStation 4 was Ghost of Tsushima. So it took 8 years for a game to come out where it used every possible resource that the PS4 had available for it. And that was basically one of the, I'm not saying it is the last game, because they still make PlayStation 4 games, but that was like one of the last super huge titles that PlayStation 4 got before it's pretty much been shuffled off to PS5. So and once again, you know, and I'm not saying it's not people not using Unreal 5 or Unreal 4 properly. It's knowing the limitations of the hardware, and most console games or most console developers, it's going to take them the 6-7 years, or I forget where we're at year wise on the PS5, where they can use every last resource out of the PS5 to make a game run the way they want it to. Now, I don't know how it's going to be moving forward now that it really seems that technology, AI, and game engines and all the other stuff that's linked to all of that, it seems like it is moving forward at breakneck speeds. Like it's not slowing down any. It's just going, it almost seems like it's increasing in speed week after week after week.
It really is. I mean, just this year, I think there's been 2 major updates to the Unreal Engine. Because remember, we were just getting updates like maybe like once a year since it came out, maybe. But they've had 2 updates in 1 year on this engine. That's crazy.
Yeah. See, engines like, you know, Unreal and Unity are nice, but they're also getting us these lazy developers that we have, right?
Yes.
No one's pushing to innovate. Why reinvent the wheel when you don't have to, right? I mean, you look at something, and if you ever look at games, you'll notice, like, especially with Unreal games, you see a lot of the same assets in all of the other games.
That's true.
Because all people will do is just grab assets and flip them and put them back out, because that's what's making money. Like there's no pride in the development. So you just use the same old tools everyone else is using, and all these games are just copy, rinse, repeat it the same as the next one. You know, a lot of people will say, yeah, this game's just like this game. This game's just like this game. I'll say, yeah, they're made with the same engine, same assets, same code. Yeah, they no wonder you think they're the same game.
Grumpy did a really good video about 2 months ago called Greed is Killing the Game Industry. And towards the end of that video, it's a really good video. If you haven't watched it, give it a watch. It's really good. He, in the first few minutes, explains the music industry and how it bled into the TV industry, which is now bleeding into the games industry. And it's no longer a bleeding into, it is the games industry. And he was just, and I'll bring it up too. Look at the most popular games that come out every year or every 2 years. Madden, FIFA, whatever NBA title they're on, whatever Call of Duty title they're on now, and they'll make millions upon millions upon millions just off of selling the game, not to mention the millions upon millions upon millions of microtransactions. And they have, as you said, Canop and Marcus, they have no reason to innovate. All they need to do is pretty up the graphics a little bit, maybe put in slide canceling this time, or take slide canceling out this time, and wham, there you go, brand new Call of Duty game, and it's going to sell bazillions of them and do bazillions in microtransactions, and then they wait 2 years and do it again.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, Madden.
But my thing is, like, I do have my outlook is not so pessimistic, because my big hope is that someone does take the Unreal Engine and they use like what it's good at, and they really push the boundaries of what a space game could be. Because I think that it does have the potential to do that, especially like when we're talking about how you can make the planets and the ecosystems look. I saw like the demos for the water, because like one of the biggest things that I saw in Starfield that I really had an issue with is like I would purposely try to land somewhere next to water, and it'd just be like, no, there's no water here. Like, how come like in these space games, like I can't land next to like these large bodies of water? I know there's bodies of water in Star Citizen, but let's be honest, it's more like that's just a mesh. It's not real water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to land next to a place and like that's actual water there. Like, I can put a boat in the water. It acts like water, and it's just like not some layer mesh. And
that's giving Star Citizen too much credit there, man. It's more like a textured ground model off the fucking floor.
Well, I just call it I'll just call it a basic mesh. You know what I'm saying? It's not real water, because if you walk into it, it's like it's supposed to be a flowing river, but you walk into the river, it doesn't push you anywhere. You can just walk straight across it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's no physics to it. And that's one of the big hopes that I have in the future, that we can get a real space exploration game that has all these things. Because think about it like this: how cool would it be if your 890 jump was also a fucking yacht that you can land in the fucking water?
I mean, it looks
Yeah.
like
How
it
cool would
would
that
float.
fucking be?
It
It looks like
it
you know what I'm saying? Of course, like it can't be buoyant because it has these big ass engines in the back.
right.
But still, how cool would that be if it was dual purpose? You know what I'm saying? Like these are the things that are missing from these space games. Like, what? There's no water anywhere else in space but fucking Earth. Like, what the hell's going on here? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, they gotta get these things together, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I'm interested to see the future of Unreal, but also understanding what Canop said. Like, there is this thing of lazy development, and we see it in Madden every year. You know, even like right now, the Forza is coming out. The newest Forza game is about to come out in like a couple of weeks, and they're saying it's built from the ground up, and they have old car models in the game still. So they haven't even updated their car models. They're just porting them over from the old Xbox game. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny.
And it's like, you guys didn't make this from the ground up. You guys tweaked a couple of things, but this is the same old Forza, and you've taken like 6, 7, 8 years to make this game. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same shit. So I understand exactly where it's coming from with the lazy development, but that comes from the AAA. The AAA companies aren't going to push the innovation, right? It's going to be the independent guys that really have the passion for something to push the boundaries. It's not good. We shouldn't even be looking for them to innovate, because they're just going to do what's made them money. They're going to do what's safe. They have board meetings. They have profit margins they have to meet. They have quotas they have to meet. It's going to be the independent guys that make the next gaming revolution.
Yeah, because like I was saying, Call of Duty, their newest one, you know, the whole, I think they're gonna call it Zombie Worlds or something like that, but you know, that's not even new for Call of Duty. This would be, I think, their second title that has or maybe even the third now, that has the big zombie maps. Because they have one that I remember playing where there's like 2 maps, and they're pretty decent sized maps, but they give you that open world experience feel already. So it's not even something new for Call of Duty. They're just taking what they already have and just making the map bigger and dropping campaign. You know, you're not getting anything new with the quote unquote new Call of Duty. You know, they're just changing up the map size.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking really long and hard at smaller publishers, independent publishers. I mean, hell, I know probably neither of you two guys this game is your cup of tea, and I'm, you know, almost 10 years too late on it, but Doom 2016, I think it was. The game didn't innovate anything. All they did there was make a really cool game with lots of gore, some good storylines, and some big boomsticks to make things splatter all over the place. And I was entertained from beginning to end of that game. Absolutely entertained.
Is Doom turn-based?
No. It's a Doom is the basically the second original first-person shooter that was ever on computers. And Doom, so they did Doom 1, 2, 3, then they did a remake of Doom, and it was terrible, and nobody bought it. And they did a second to that remake of Doom, and nobody bought it. And then they waited I want to say 10 years, and then they dropped Doom 2016, and people went, "Oh my god, this is one of the best Doom games that's ever been made." And I have to agree with them. It's really, really damn good. It is a super fast version of what the original Doom was. Add in prettier graphics, far more gore, and an okay storyline. I mean, it's not over the top. Like, they're not going to make a movie out of it. It's not that good of a storyline. Put in an okay storyline that keeps you somewhat engaged, and voila, you have a great game on your hands. And it's all it took.
Wait, they did make a movie out of it. You never seen Rock?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. That was so bad.
They needed gallons and gallons of baby oil for that movie,
right?
Yeah, for real.
Shine his arms up.
But yeah, the newest versions, they're not going to win they're not going to make movies out of them and make, be Academy Award winning action movies or anything like that, but they're fun. And I think publishers also lose this. People want to be, the majority of Americans want to be entertained. They don't want to be talked to while playing their video games, or
lectured.
Yes, thank you. Lectured. That was the word I was looking for. That people want to be entertained and play their video games. They don't want to be lectured. They don't want to have to look over their shoulders. I mean, did you hear what Xbox is doing with a couple of their sports games now?
No.
Like if you start talking shit and you say something what they deem out of line, they'll block you out of your own Xbox. Like you're locked out.
Really?
PlayStation's gonna start doing the same thing as well. Like if you I don't know, say you play an NBA game and you do a street mode and you pull up on somebody 1v1 and it's a good game and it's tight and you guys start smack talking, if one of you guys, even if it's friendly, if one of you guys crosses the line, that's it. Your Xbox will take control of your Xbox and lock you out.
I believe it. I've been banned.
Let the consoles die.
One too many times for saying stuff they didn't like.
Yeah, but Microsoft
let the consoles die.
Microsoft owns Windows. It's only a matter of time before they bleed it into Windows.
Then we'll have.
I don't know how I am on Windows.
We'll all be on Linux, bro.
Right.
We'll find a way. Like if Microsoft starts banning people, if they want to go that route, fine, we'll go to Linux, and then developers will be forced to make games on Linux.
Yeah, I mean, games now, like, I don't know if any of y'all have used Linux here recently now, but basically there's nothing you can't play on a Linux machine. All these new title games and stuff, you can make modules and play them through Linux.
Interesting.
Like Mudahara, he's a Linux user. He streams playing games sometimes and whatnot, and he's a Linux guy. So, I mean, it's possible. It's doable. It's open-ended, right? So, basically, anything you want to do, you can do.
Adam, real quick, I want to address a couple of things in chat. Adam Scottman, I am well aware of Spaceborne. I'm waiting for it to get a little bit further along before I get into it. And Adam Warlock, yeah, that goes along the same lines of you'll own nothing and like it kind of deal. I get what you're saying. You buy a license to use it, or excuse me, you buy a license to use it. You don't buy it to own it, which it's kind of un-American.
Yeah. But we got to remember right now, us as consumers, we have a lot of power that we don't realize that we have, right? Because we're at the point now that if a game studio flops, they shut down. That is the fear now for game studios. If your game doesn't succeed, that's it for you. There's no, we'll try again, right? Like these big studios get the luxury of doing. So that puts a lot of power in the consumer's hands to be like, well, if you're not going to listen to us, we're just going to stop buying your shit and you'll just have to shut down. That puts a lot of power in the consumer's hands. And, a lot of people aren't talking about that in the gaming industry. But right now, as a consumer, we have more power in the gaming industry than we've ever had before. We could literally boycott a developer and not buy their shit, and they would have to shut down.
Yeah.
I would like more people to realize that instead of, I pick on Call of Duty a lot because it's literally one of the most popular games in the world, and in my opinion, they deserve to be picked on because I don't like the way they've ran a lot of their stuff. But that aside, like, people should stop buying that sort of game over and over again and make them actually make a better game, or make the microtransactions go away.
Yes. But they never will, because that's a part of their bottom line. Like,
real quick on what Rocco was saying, on Linux, anti-cheat system doesn't work well. I'm gonna tell you right now, on Windows, anti-cheat system don't work. There is no game out there that is like, we're completely hacker free. Anti-cheat it doesn't work no matter what, unless it is somebody making their first hacks ever. Like that's like a loot point. Like, I play Overwatch, from time to time, and I deal with hackers, and that's a Windows game with anti-cheat.
The cheats. We're gonna end it here in a couple of minutes. I got a few things I need to take care of before I can have the rest of my day to myself. But here's the thing: there is no amount of anti-cheats that is ever going to stop cheats.
Nope.
It doesn't matter. The cheating industry is now, it's been proven, the cheating industry is now a $100 million a year thing. It's getting borderline $2 billion a year revenue for these guys. And every year, every few months, cheats get updated, re-released, new ones come out. It's never going to stop. It's going to be.
It's the old spear and shield,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thicker you make the shield, the sharper I'm going to make the spear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, let's just take. Tarkov is probably the most infamous for this, but let's take the incident that happened 6 months ago, where that guy, I think his name's Goat or something like that. He made his that video about cheating, and it came to be that about 30% of the entire Tarkov community is cheating. They got rid of thousands of them. There was just an article ran just yesterday, and I forget the name of the company that ran it. Let's back that up. That cheating ring melted his computer and was coming after him. They ended up getting arrested. They were a Chinese-based company. They ended up getting arrested, and that's going to suck for them, because I'm sure Chinese prison sucks. They shut down the company. They liquidated everything. They seized the assets, so that cheating company's gone. Just yesterday, a PC magazine released that Tarkov just did a 16,000 player wipe 2 days previous to that, all known cheaters. So
yeah,
they got rid of the biggest cheating one, and look, they're all back.
Yeah.
They're all back.
Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna get rid of them. Like, they're talking about how, they're making the AI anti-cheat, right? It's supposed to be the end all be all. But it's just like when bots for MMOs are becoming really big, right? And the anti-bot detection, we'll stop all the bots with anti-bot detection, because bots never act like humans. Well, guess what they started to do? Code the bot to act just like a human. Now, anti-bot never detects them.
Yep.
Right.
It'd be the same thing, where the AI will learn how to be just like a human, where the AI anti-cheat won't notice it's cheating.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
because it'll do all the little stutters and everything.
Did you see the cheating thing that the Call of Duty guys came up with?
No, I didn't.
So they came up with a anti-cheat that if you're suspected of cheating, it can do so an AI runs it, and it does one of 3 calculations. Basically, it can decide whether or not it's picking up on your end, it's running an additional software or something like that. 2, your snap on to target is a little bit faster than the normal human, and there's a few other things that it can do. But what it'll do is, if it picks up on one of those things and thinks that you are cheating, it's going to create a hallucination. They call it a hallucination on your side of the screen. Nobody else will see it. So if I'm playing and I'm not cheating, I won't see it. If Canop was playing and he's cheating, what it'll do is it'll put a hallucination. So it'll put me, I'll be coming at you, and it'll put a hallucination of me by me. And if you are running a cheat, it's going to pick between those two. And if you shoot at the hallucination, boom, they know you're cheating, you're done. Like, it's
pretty clever.
Yeah, immediate ban right then and there. Like, that's it. It's over. As soon as your aimbot snaps to it and you pull the trigger, boom, you're done.
Yeah, but a lot of these hacks and stuff will run on the service level of the game. So if you were to it would be able to tell the difference between a phantom player and a real player because it's running on the same level as the game. So when it changes, your hacks would be able to see that. That's why like ESP and wall hacks and like Tarkov, where you can see which way the guy's facing, what gun he has, his ammo count, and all that, because it's running as the same service level as the game. So it's in the game code.
Okay.
So something like that's going to be really hard to hide in the code when it's in the code watching that. See, it's just the whole sword and spear thing, because like, oh, we'll scan your computer. Well, most people don't run them on their computer nowadays. They run them externally. You can go on Amazon and get, external scripters and external program runners that you plug in like your keyboard to it, and then you plug that into your computer, and it runs through your USB line for your keyboard. Yeah, on a separate device that houses the program. So you can scan my computer all you want. It's never running it. That hack, cheat, program, whatever, has never been on my computer because it's running on its own separate device. And that's what most cheaters do nowadays. You can get cheat keyboards where the program is and everything's housed inside of the keyboard, and it just has one regular USB. That's what people who play esports use those.
Yeah.
So they just bring their own keyboard and plug it into their computer, and it just runs off the keyboard, and nobody ever detects it.
Unless your name is Nadia and they tell you no keyboards, and then you throw a fit.
Yeah, and you go there and you play on their set that's already fully set up, and you go and you're like complete dog shit.
Yeah. I've seen that happen a few
like
times.
That.
I've seen that happen a few times. One of my favorite YouTube videos is the all e-girls team. Did anybody see that? Yeah, they did this all e-girls team, and like what was funny is they were pushed and they made it to this one big time esport thing, and they got all the limelight. Like all of their players got like their own individual bios and like little things to stand up and talk and all of that. Well, most of the main teams that had been there for years previous, and their players had been there for years previous, and some of them obviously are really good players and well known in their respective gaming communities. They push these e-girls out in front. The match, I forget what game they were playing. It may have been Overwatch. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was Overwatch. I'm gonna look that up. And it was like, I think it was called the e-girl team of shame, because they lasted like 2 minutes 30 seconds and it was over.
Damn.
Yeah.
Look, all these women have been complaining about my 2-stroke. Look, they couldn't even last 2 minutes.
Right. There's another really good video of this guy's wife said that he was a 2-pump one hitter quitter, or 2-pump and you're done or whatever, and he went and got a pillow, told her to get up over it like they're like a missionary style, and he's like, now fuck that pillow like you want to be. And then so she starts it, she lasts 8 seconds, he goes, hey, what the hell's wrong with you, man? Why are you being a 2-pump quitter? Come on, fuck that pillow. And she's like, I'm tired, I'm wore out.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, that all e-girl team, yeah, that was crazy how fast they got.
Yeah, you're gonna send me that one.
Yeah, I'll have to find it again. It's from like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But yeah, they got super pushed. They got the Vince McMahon push to the top, and did not end well for them.
Speaking of esports, what do you guys think about the mass dying of esports that we're seeing today?
Calling it esports is what killed it. That's what killed it. Because like, I don't know, like we're a little bit older here, and back when I was growing up, it was just competitive gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it wasn't like they didn't call it like an esport, because I understand that there's, we're dealing with reaction times, and that can be determined to be an athletic feat, but generally when you're thinking about sports, you're going to sweat. Do you sweat sometimes when you play games? Some people sweat, but on average people don't sweat in esports, right? Calling it a sport is what ruined it, because like if you tell somebody that you do esports, they just kind of look at you funny. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, if I was like, hey, I'm going to a gaming competition, or like I'm going to like a Street Fighter competition, or I'm going to like a dog fighting competition for a game, people will be like, okay, that makes sense. Calling it an esport, it's like,
Yeah, I feel the same. I always thought the industry would thrive a lot better if they did like an Olympic style thing where they came together every so often, doesn't have to be every 4 years. It could be once a year, every 2 years, whatever. And it's where the best of the nations come together to battle it out in games, the top games, to see what nation has, the sweatiest gamers.
Korea.
That would be a lot more fucking entertaining. Yeah, it'd obviously be an Asian country for sure. No
right.
fucking doubt on that, right? But but that would be a lot more entertaining. You see people who spent a whole year to be the best of the nation to come battle it out on the stage.
What does the E in esports stand for? I don't even know.
Electronic sports.
Yeah.
Anything that has an E in front of it is electronic.
Yeah,
well, they call it G Sports, gaming sports.
For real.
They
could have called it something cool, the battle for Olympus,
Yeah.
every year, all the nations come together.
I would love to see something like that. But like, here's the thing. Like, I agree with both of you guys. Esports is not sports. Sports to me is, synchronized swimming is more of a sport than sitting behind a computer clicking a mouse and pushing WASD. Like, come on. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. I look at sports.
Maybe that's the old school in us. The like people like to call us millennials, but I feel like me and Canop, because we were raised by Generation X, like we're not really millennials.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
I mean, like, we go ahead.
We were raised by, and the people that we were around were older than us. Were Generation X, and so we were around them more than we were around these idiots that grew up with laptops in their hands and smartphones. Like, we didn't grow up with smartphones. Smartphones weren't a thing until I got into the military in 2008. That's when really smartphones started to take off.
Yeah.
Before that, there was none of that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm a little bit more like Generation X than I am like a millennial. You know what I'm saying? Like this technology era. So, like calling it for me an esport just sounds like goofy, and it sounds like people who couldn't do real sports and they decided, like, oh, we're gonna call this a sport to make it seem like something that it's not. I mean, it's like, but it's not an actual sport, because growing up, you know what I'm saying, to play a sport, you got sweaty unless you were swimming. Then you really didn't get sweaty. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, I don't view it as sports. I mean, look, if you are talented, or, if people want to go this route, gifted by God to have really fast reaction time and twitch muscles and all of that other fun stuff, extremely high-end hand-to-eye coordination and all that, and you're to steal a line from Dr. Disrespect, you're one of the 2-time champs of, competitive gaming, then hey, you're really good at competitive gaming. But I am not going to sit here and say you're an athlete of any kind. I mean, athletes are, like we've covered, the basketball players, the shot put guys, the javelin throwers, as much as it pains me to say the WNBA, I mean, they're athletes. WWE, people don't like that they're lumped into that.
Yeah,
but they are.
You say
I'll put you like this, because I'm an actual athlete, right? Back in high school, I ran a 4.39 40. I didn't make it to the NFL. That's how fast I am. Can I tell you, I could run fast. I didn't make it to the NFL. I could run. I can't do it now, but back in my day, I could run a 4.39 40. Not slow. You know what I'm saying? I had that kind of speed, but I'm just like, so there's levels to this shit. I tried to play college football. I didn't make it. I went to like a Division III school. Okay. Division III. This is like the lowest of the low. This is damn near junior college level, right? I went there and I was at the bottom. I went there. To me, those guys were freaks. Those guys were absolute freaks of nature. I'm just like, I gotta figure out something else to do with my life because I'm not gonna make it here. There was another kid in my school that was faster than me. He didn't make it. So to sit here and to call this esports is an insult to actual athletes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you say sports, you think of somebody with a very particular, aesthetics to them, the very certain, physique. But then you say esports player, but then you look at them, they could be anything, they could be the very traditional fucking neckbeard.
Right.
And like you said, that's an insult to athletes because they train really hard to get their bodies the way they are, and to get lumped into the same group as athletic as a neckbeard. That's a fucking insult.
I would take it as such. I mean, like, look, I'm not the biggest fan of LeBron, but if let's say I'm LeBron and they're like, yeah, we want you to do a Sports Illustrated cover, and I'm like, yeah, I'm down, and they're like, well, you're gonna do it with this year's esport champion. I'd be like, what sport does he play? Oh, he plays computer games. Get the fuck out of here. I ain't doing no Sports Illustrated with somebody that pretends to play sports like that. I'm not doing that. I would see it as an extreme insult. Yeah. And that's the thing with actual sports. You can't just be physically fit. You have to be mentally fit as well, because it takes a lot of drive and discipline to do that. And then you have to keep the competitive edge mentally, and you got to think. There's so much that goes into it. There's so much that goes into it.
I was like, when I went to that college and I was seeing them boys out there, I'm just like, these motherfuckers are big and fast. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking like you had guys that were like 240 pounds running as fast as me, and I'm like 185.
It's scary, isn't it?
You know what I'm saying? You damn right, it's scary. I'm just like, how do you what are they feeding you? Like, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. And I can't jump that high. And that's one of the reasons I couldn't really make it at that level, because like I ain't got hops like that. I could run, but I got to keep my feet on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not very tall. I'm only 5'9". You know what I'm saying? So like, you asking me to jump high, and there was guys that were my size and my height that had crazy verticals. I'm just like, I am not the top athlete. I'm not who I thought I was. No way. You figure something else out.
It's humbling, isn't it?
It's not humbling, really, because it really just puts it into perspective, really.
Yeah, that's...
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would say, and to full disclosure, I never really wanted to play football at a high level. I just did it because they're like, hey, you're black and you can run fast. You should probably play football. I wanted to be a martial artist growing up. And where I lived at, there were no martial arts dojos around. There were no karate schools where I lived at. There wasn't none of that shit where I lived at. So I was just like, well, football it is. And football it wasn't.
I think Canop dropped.
He got Elon probably.
Yeah, he got Elon. Damn it. Yeah, no, I don't want to. Yeah, so real quick, I played baseball. I was good enough to make it at the very bottom end of Travelers League, and we did something where we went to one of the colleges and we got to check out their baseball team. And I remember I was only about 10 feet away from the batter's box. And I remember seeing my first 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Because, when you're in a Travelers League, what, the top speed somebody's throwing is 80, maybe 78, 80 miles an hour. You see your first 98-mile-an-hour fastball up close. Yeah, I was
like, the ball's just hissing in the air.
Yeah, I'm like, there is no way. There's no way I could ever do this. I can barely do this at 80 miles per hour. There's no way.
I should have played baseball, because I could throw. I was throwing high 80s in high school, like 89. I had one that hit 90, but it had like a little tailwind to it. But yeah, I was throwing like that in high school. I used to play center field, and our team sucked. our team sucked, man. So I'd be out there having to hum those balls, not hum those balls. What the fuck?
Whoa.
That's gonna be on the internet forever. But I really had to get, I had to get those players out as best as I could. So you got to get a strong arm. So they're like, why don't you try pitching? And like you said, you hear the hissing of the pitch as it comes by, and you're just like, because I remember I saw there was some kid, and I don't think this kid was in high school. I think, he was in high school, but I think maybe he fell a couple of times because he looked to be about like in his 20s, and he was throwing like mid 90s in high school. I'm just like, ain't no way. Ain't no motherfucking way you're throwing motherfucking mid 90s and shit in high school. And I'm just like, how the fuck do they want us to hit that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How are we supposed to swing and hit this pitch? You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker throwing the baseball like that. Like, we ain't seen that before. We ain't got nobody. We don't even have a pitch machine that can throw that fast, all right? So how are we supposed to hit this, man?
It's like I said, when you see it on TV from the perspective that you see it on, and you know this as well as I do, when you see it on there and then you're standing up behind the box, I mean, like you're right there with the batter, and you see a 98-mile-an-hour fastball coming up and in. It's a whole different experience. It is a whole different experience.
Yeah, man. I remember going to a basketball game. I went to a Mavericks game. And this was the game that Tracy McGrady and Dirk Nowitzki went back and forth. I remember them being on the court before the game. And we had decent seats. We're like in the mid seats. And I saw Dirk Nowitzki. I have never seen a 7-foot person before in my life. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He walked onto the court. I'm just like, that's what a 7-foot human looks like. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You would have shit yourself if you would have saw Shaq back in the day. That guy was a goddamn monster.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, that's what 7 feet. I'm like, yeah, never playing basketball again in my life.
Right?
I'm like, there ain't no way. It's like, I can shoot a little bit. Maybe I can make it the NBA, be a shooting guard. You know what I'm saying? Be like, oh, I have to guard that guy? No. No thanks.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I'm sure you're old enough too. You guys remember when Shaq was on the Magic?
Yeah.
7 foot. What was he? 280 pounds. Oh my God. And that was back when he used to be able to full court fast break.
Yeah.
That wasn't in his. That wasn't.
Kobe Bryant said something about Shaq that was even more terrifying. He said Shaq never worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, he never worked out. Imagine if Shaq exercised. He just did some little bit of extra exercise. You know what I'm saying? He would have been even more terrifying.
Oh my God. That's scary to think about.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you made it to the NBA. You hadn't exercised a day in your fucking life. Why you just play basketball? It's crazy.
Right? Like, I don't know. I've never seen anything like he's one of those weird freaks of nature that you don't see very often. I mean, outside of in my time, the only two that I could say maybe three freaks of nature that I've ever seen in the NBA like that in my lifetime have been obviously Michael Jordan. I mean, the guy was damn near unstoppable for 9 years, and then Shaq. That is, how do you stop that? Even the Shaq attacks weren't stopping that. Like, they couldn't stop that. And then I'm trying to think of some other guys. But yeah, those guys were freaks of nature.
Bo Jackson was a freak.
Oh yeah, snapping baseball bats over his knee like they were toothpicks.
Yeah.
Bo knows.
Yeah. Deion Sanders is a freak too. Deion Sanders is a freak too. He played baseball and football too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to remember that the area that he played in, this wasn't like this cupcake area that they have now where like you can't hit nobody anymore. He played in the area where they were really hitting people.
Mm-hmm.
Where you get like speared with the crown of the helmet.
Trying to put you in the hospital.
Yeah. So Deion Sanders was a freak too. So, but yeah, man, calling esports an actual sport is disrespectful to athletes.
Well, I got to get going, guys. Do you have any last words? Anything on Star Citizen, Starfield, the state of gaming, esports? You got any last words, guys?
Flighty coupled.
Flighty coupled.
Sliding couple, keep your door shut.
Right.
Keep your doors shut. Yeah, that's a big one.
Shut your doors, hide your cargo. Canop's out there somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, if you do play Star Citizen, make sure you wear a helmet.
Yeah, always wear your helmet.
Always wear your helmet.
Even if you don't need it.
Yep, wear your helmet. It'll save you in the long run. Guys, go there, check out both Canop and Marcus on their respective channels. Give them a like, give them a thumbs up, check them out. Hit the bell icon if you're on YouTube, so you can see the next time they live stream or post a video. Both of them do really cool stuff. And I think with that, we're gonna give that one a wrap, and I'll see you guys so long. And
don't forget
all the fish. Yeah. Don't forget what? Canop. Don't forget what?
He might be getting Elon again.
Yeah, he needs to squeeze more Elon juice out for his PC. I'll give him one more second. Canop. Join the Discord. All right. Yeah, he's in chat. All right, guys. With that, so long. Thanks for all the fish. Thank you, Marcus and Canop, for being here and spending time with me in the chat. Really, really appreciate it. And see you on the next one, guys.
Peace.
Later.